What up, Hodo? Oh, how you doing, Hodo? Doing all right, sir? Good to see you again, man. Good to talk to you. Exhausted, tired, worn out, beat. Long day at work, man. Long day at work. I figured I'd hop on and get angry at some people in Overwatch. Oh, I gotta get my 9 wins. What? There's no... Okay, Mystery Heroes it is. I'm better. Think I had COVID. Oh. Well, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better, man. That sucks. I'm glad you got over it. Obama has it right now, I heard.
Welcome to Paris.
So many targets, so little time.
I'm just knowing Cole saw that. Yep.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds. Casting.
Or are you just ugly?
So, besides getting over COVID, how are you feeling? A little bit better? Did you ever lose taste or smell? Did you hear China's got a new outbreak? What's new, right? Can I reach here? No. If they can go that door, though, I can reach them.
Attackers incoming.
What do we got?
Defend
Nothing up top. Oh my god, I missed. Oh my god, you fucking juked me, you piece of shit. Oh, I missed him. Last week while I was on spring break for one job, it was sleep and not work. Like 10 motherfucker. Man, that amount of sleep is good though. You better run, bitch. Good fire strike. What? That fucking turret. Man, this weekend I slept on one day till 2 o'clock and the other day till noon. I feel you, brother. I'm going for 45 hours sleep. It's fucking great. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Enemy turret detected.
Symmetra reporting.
We're just gonna let them have it.
Enemy turret ahead.
I'm checking in.
Enemy turret detected.
What a big crunch now. I gotta figure out what I want to do with my life. This being strapped for money sucks ass. It does. It does, man. So what do you want to do? Have you ever thought about getting into programming or coding or anything of the sort? Because I thought of a video game last night, and I actually, after I got off stream, even though I don't know if I streamed last night, but I played some video games last night, and when I got up, I downloaded Unity and started learning coding. And I may take a little bit of a breather from gaming to practice that kind of stuff. Playing around with coding a bit. Oh, that's nice. I hear him. He's right above me. Come on, Tracer. Come on.
30
Come on.
seconds remaining.
Woo. I'll try Python. Oh, okay. Fuck.
Overtime.
Dude, you want to get together and talk about a video game? I was thinking about doing a mobile game. Let's play the game right there. Oh. I got an idea for one.
Winston reporting.
I'll kill stream right now if you want to do it.
Objective lost.
Data is everywhere.
I did not have flash or blink. I've always wanted to sit down and create a backstory for a good MMO. It's an RPG kind of game. Dude, seriously, do you want to just, like, I'll kill, not even kill stream. We'll just have a conversation. Yeah, but I just need somebody who actually knows coding. I want to get the basics written down, and I'd love to have a long-term project on it. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be watching over you. Let's get you back.
Let's do it.
Defeat.
Fuck it. Let me exit to desktop. You want to just do it on stream, or you want to do it off stream? Your choice. Off stream because it's an idea. We can hop in Discord and just have a conversation. Or on stream so people can like chime in and give their opinions. Because this is just kind of us brainstorming. Your call. Doesn't really matter to me. On stream is fine. Okay, then let me change my shit. Give me one moment here. Exit that, and that's not appropriate to show on stream, so we need to go around that. Go to my stream, creator dashboard, edit stream details, and brainstorming. Change the info, change that, and we'll call it just chatting. Yep, just chatting. Done. That's updated. Minimize. Let me come over here to this. Update. Paste. Paste. It's already changed to brainstorming. Paste. Beautiful. And there's one that's just chatting. Where is it? Brainstorming. Oh, that's cool. Update. There we go. And let's go to the Be Right Back screen. Let's go full screen on it. There we go. All right, you gonna hop in Discord? We'll just have a conversation. Should I pull Discord on over? Hold on. Do it like this. Go my display. In general, you gonna hop in Discord? Oh, you already are. My bad. My bad, dude. My bad. All right, Hodo, talk to me. What do you know? Because, I mean, I just downloaded Unity last night, started fucking around with it for a few hours. I see you in Discord. Can you hear me? Testing?
Yeah, I was getting the echo because I had that stream on too, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
My bad. So,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't know a lot. I've dabbled. I've tried to teach myself. 2 years ago, when I got laid off, I was like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And that's why I tried to start teaching myself Python. I downloaded some classes, or not downloaded, signed up for some classes on websites.
Yeah.
Um, it's really hard for me to sit there and watch a YouTube video, basically,
Yeah.
and learn and teach myself from coding that way. So
You're further along than what I am, because I just downloaded Unity last night to fuck around, and I was just dicking around with shit. And I'd like to be able to take classes on it. You know a little bit more than I do, but I figured we'd brainstorm a little bit, because I did come up with an idea for a game, but at the same time, I'd like your inputs on it and see maybe we can fuck around with it.
and I've never looked into what each language has its own purpose on what you're coding for.
Yep. So like I said, I don't know shit. I just came up with the idea, and I was like, I want to work with somebody, but I didn't know anyone to work with, so I was just gonna start from ground level.
I'm not sure what languages are, because you said mobile game.
Yeah.
What languages are for mobile gaming, but I could easily find that out.
There's a few of them. I think Unity is the most common. But again, I'm not worried about languages. I'd just like to be able to have a discussion and see what your thoughts are on it first, because we could obviously go in a different direction if that's the case.
Yeah, that's right. I have no solid ideas. I'll be like, oh, it would always be cool to have because being in theater, I know a lot of creative people.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people who, who write plays. So I got the people in my life that are imaginative. I'm like, okay, I'm going to create this race. I'll give it to this person, let them create some sort of backstory, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Eventually just bring it all together. So it's always just been something in the back of my head, nothing I've ever moved forward with.
Okay. Mine, I would say, is kind of a dungeon crawling RPG. Did you ever play Final Fantasy 12?
I think so. Was that on the PS2?
Yes. I think it was the last PS2 one. Final Fantasy
Okay,
12. They had the Gambit system.
PS2 was the last console I've owned.
Yeah.
And I probably bought it just for a Final Fantasy game because that's the only games I really ever played on console. So I'd say yes, but I don't really remember.
Okay. Gotcha. Do you remember anything about the Gambit system?
I do not.
It was predetermined a script that you can give your characters for them to be able to help in fighting. So if you gave like one character a command and set it as priority, numero uno, number one in their list, it would take priority over anything else on that list. But the Gambit system was such as when a player reaches 50% health, it would auto cast a certain ability, a heal, for instance, to that person. Now, if it didn't have the mana, obviously it couldn't do that, number one, so it moved to number two. But it was a chain of commands built for characters. Now, if you built them correctly, because Drix and I did this one night, he was over at my place, we were playing, and we're like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could set up a Gambit system to auto run while we go to bed and find a place where enemies auto spawn? Then they could heal each other, engage, fight, and be able to actually self-sustain themselves if we built the Gambit system correctly, built the priority queue of what each character actually does. So we spent about 2 hours, and we built 3 characters to have a perfect Gambit system to support one another. One is the tank. When it got a certain level, it would use an item for health. The other two, one of them was a range DPS, whereas focusing range, but it would use a certain abilities if it had the certain action points to be able to do that. And then another one is a healer, where we had it at 75, 50%, and 25%. So 75% would do a light heal. If somebody hit 50%, it would do a heavier heal. And if somebody hit 50% HP, it would do the massive heal. So it all depended. Basically, they self-sustained themselves. We went to bed, woke up, and we had 40 levels because the gambit system that we set up was a kind of just a self-sustain. So the game I was thinking of is being able to have, let me see if I can actually first off, do you understand the gambit system that I'm talking about?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, gotcha. So it's a priority list of certain abilities that can occur. And if one can't occur, it moves to 2. If 2 can't occur, it moves to 3. And it keeps those in a chain. If 2 of those occur, the priority 1, the highest one of the list, will occur first before the second one. So that's what the gambit system was. So my thought process on a game is I'm getting of age, okay? I cannot get into an MMO or dungeon crawler and spend as much time on it as I want to be able to spend in a game. I'd like it to be able to play itself, but I'd like to earn it growing and to be able to play itself. So I was thinking maybe a 4-man dungeon crawler where when you're first playing it, you may be able to, complete the first dungeon and you get 1 line of gambit that you can put on one of your 4 characters. And then you can have like the tank where when there's an enemy, it'll auto engage anybody that doesn't have threat upon it. And that'll be its first gambit that you actually receive. Yes, you have to control the other characters, but as you play the game, you're not just unlocking weapons, gear, abilities, or anything of that sort. Yes, you are unlocking those to be able to help your defenses, offenses, your health pool, whatever it may be for your individual characters. But as you progress, as you unlock new gambits, you might be able to get, 2 or 3 on the tank instead of just that 1 for auto provoking. You might be able to put an auto provoke, but then a secondary one where if it's less than 1 character, you can rage and be able to take more damage, but also deal more damage. But then you could also move those gambits that you've unlocked to the other characters in the actual system. So you might be able to say, you know what? My tank is auto-engaging on here. It's not provoking, but it seems like when it engages, it holds threat. Then being able to put the gambit, instead of 1 on the tank, you can put a secondary 1 on the healer, and the healer is like, when somebody reaches 75% health, cast the heal. Otherwise, deal light range DPS. So as soon as that tank takes 75% or down 25% of its health and it hits that 75% barrier, the gambit kicks in gear, the caster auto heals. So in other words, you're building a self-sustained team to be able to run. As you progress in the game, it's less that you actually have to do. So you can actually auto send them through dungeons because you've built that gambit system. As the dungeons get tougher, you would obviously need more gambits or a different design of how you want them to run. And then you could also work in PvP on that as well. So as you start playing the game, it's more hands-on. As you progress, you can actually have it auto-run dungeons depending on your gambits that you have set up. And the more efficiently you run it, the more credits, gold, gear, whatever you may have, it can be more of a passive game in the background. Obviously, the harder the dungeons, you're going to need more gambits, more abilities, all that, more gear, etc. So what I want to do, those AFK arenas and shit, those are great and all, but you don't feel like you're hands-on. You set it up and you let it go. This one is more hands-on because you're going to have to moderate and change the gambits upon your actual healers and tanks and DPS and range DPS. I want it to be able to be interactive, but not forced for you to be able to learn a rotation like most MMOs do. That's the main thing I don't like about games. I don't like rotations. I don't like having to sit there and be like, oh, I'm playing WoW. I got to remember my 3-button rotation and then try to proc it. With a gambit system, you can implement when it procs, number 3 kicks in. When or you want to be able to prioritize that above healing, you can do that as well. Also, with the 4 players that you have, again, you have a tank, range DPS, a healer, and a melee DPS. You could actually rotate of which ones you want in. So you could run 3 tanks, 1 healer. You could run 1 tank, 3 healers. You could run whatever you want, but you have to unlock those characters as you go. So, what do you think so far on this?
I get it. If you're talking console/PC gaming, it's like you're basically legalizing botting.
Yes, yes. But it's gambits that you have to unlock. That's the big thing. You have to unlock certain ones. So.
And as far as mobile gaming, I want to say there's games like that that already exist to on a smaller level, not on like a larger scale. If that makes any sense.
Right.
But I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Right. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up a Gambit. Here we go. Like this one. This is what I'm talking about on Final Fantasy X. I don't know if you still have stream open.
I do.
Gotcha. You see, does that kind of make sense? Priority number 1, ally status KO. If somebody gets KO'd, it would use a Phoenix down. But if nobody's KO'd, it looks at number 2. If anybody has a status effect on them, Insunia. If they have a status of reflect on, they'll dispel it. That Gambit system is what I'm talking about. It's not about just the gear and progression of your character, but you build a chain, and the more things you unlock, the more customization you can do on those chains.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Okay. That's what I was thinking about for a dungeon crawler.
I mean, even when I was learning to program Python, I've built systems like that.
Yeah, it's on the back end, right? It's on the back end where it's auto done, right?
So with Python, like when you go to a website and it's got the virtual chat, it's basically a robot, and depending what your answer is it goes through a chain of commands like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it will pick the answer that then responds to your answer question.
Yes, same thing, but on the front end, and that's what you're unlocking. You would start with obviously just one Gambit slot available, but then as you're playing the game and progressing, it's not just about getting that weapon that deals 10% more damage. It's about getting a second Gambit slot to be able to make your hero run more efficiently without you having to be 100% hands-on. If you hated healers, it's not going to force you to be a healer for your tank. You can put all your Gambits on your healer, let the healer run itself, and run the actual main tank melee DPS. But that is why I want to be able to have the Gambits on the front end of the actual game itself. Now, I don't think I've won you over with this.
I mean, I'm still interested. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I haven't heard that, like, oh my god, this is a brand new, great, fantastic idea that no one's come up with before.
Right. Now, the other, I have another game idea, but this is the main one I've been stuck on recently because the Gambit, I absolutely love the idea. Because I'd like to have a game that plays on its own, or I grow it to play on its own. It's kind of like growing a hero, growing your jobs. The other one is the other one's no. I got to talk about the other one on stream. But what are your thoughts on this one? Because I got passionate about it. I know you're thinking it's not blowing you away on anything, but I don't know. I know a lot of mobile games will just, you get the things and you tell it to run the dungeon over and over again and it auto clears. That's great and all, but I'd like one where it's actually running you through the dungeon and you can see the Gambit being able to communicate with one another. Wouldn't it be boring eventually? Like when fighting the harder bosses, you have so many Gambits. That's the case. It scales with difficulty. So even if you have 4 or 5 Gambits on every character, which that's going to be more high tier than the gear. You would get gear, get upgrades, that's great and all. But the Gambits are what you want to be able to get so you can run it on its own. But if you get into a higher tier dungeon, you're going to have to be hands-on. Because the Gambit system may not be able to self-sustain or think as quickly as yourself. It's to be able to try to get self-sustain for lower tier stuff. Or things that you can auto-run when you're kind of, I'd say, grinding for a piece of gear or grinding for an unlock.
I mean, let's even go back to our childhood when we played, say Final Fantasy 5 or 6 or something like that, and you got your party of 4.
Yeah.
And you have to individually control each 4 characters when it's that character's turn.
Yes.
This takes that away. With the new generation, these teenagers, whatever, they're a lot lazier than we are, and they're like, oh, that's too much work. I don't care for that type of game. So this type of style game that you're explaining would be perfect for them.
And if you are, like I said, if you're a healer and you don't like being in the melee, then set your gambits up on the tank. Let the tank auto pull. And anybody who doesn't have priority tank hate, then it'll auto provoke. You don't have to play tank. You can set your gambits up to play tank for you while you play the jobbing class that you prefer. And so you can manually control the healing, being able to keep people alive. You want to play ranged DPS, set the tank and the healer. You want to have 3 ranged DPS and 1 healer. That's fine too. I mean, you could set the party depending on what you would like, but the gambits are what's unlocked. And the gambits wouldn't be like where you get this many, like 12. That's fucking incredible. Yes, 12 is great to be able to have, but the gambits that you would unlock, it's not just a slot. You would unlock slots, but you would also unlock specific ones. So like this one right here I'm showing on stream, it says self MP 10% charge to be able to gain MP. That's something you could actually unlock for a healer. But when you unlock that, you may not use that as often as, you know, somebody that you want to make sure you prioritize cure or raise on an ally, for instance. That one may be a higher tier. It's kind of like getting a epic helm. You may get a rare, like a regular drop, and the regular drop is, you know, making sure haste is put on, for instance. So we take kind of this gambit system and how great the gambit is, you would unlock those as well as the slots. So maybe every level you hit, you unlocked 1 slot, and you can move those slots between your 4 characters. Again, if you didn't want to play tank and you're level 10, you can put 10 slots on your tank, customize the fuck out of that guy. Yeah, you can put a healing class on him and be able to say, hey, tank, whenever you're 50% HP, cast a heal on yourself. But it's a tank, so its heal is going to be, you know, for 400 instead of 2000, because it's not built for the healing. You could still put it on him, so you could still be able to have him do that, but he's not going to be as efficient as doing it for another class. I'd like to hear more about this tomorrow on a break, but I'm headed out. Good night and see you tomorrow. All right, Opal, sleep well. Get ready for your first phone call tomorrow. So it's not just unlocking slots. It's going to be unlocking the actual gambits themselves.
Yeah, so like, sorry, I was typing in chat. So like, say you hit level 5, you unlock, you know, another gambit, but instead of like a slash, now you do like a double slash or something like that. So you can increase their damage or their how dangerous they are for melees, or a medium heal for a healer or whatever, stuff like that, right?
Yes, I want the and this is something I'm open to. Obviously, this is just me discussing this kind of stuff, but I'm
Because like
open.
I said, there needs to be a progression for them to keep coming back and modifying their characters.
Correct. Because once you get a new heal, then, you know, one of your old gambits that you used to prioritize, you might be able to move that to somebody else that hasn't hit that level yet. So leveling each individual character. I don't want the characters themselves to be too different. I don't want somebody to be able to get a character and then they're baller. I want to be able to have maybe passives for each individual character. So yes, you might have 10 different healers, but all the 10 healers have different passives. One regains mana faster, but takes damage more. I want passives for them. So the abilities, when you unlock Cure at level 3, and then you unlock Cure 2, for instance, at level 10, and Cure 3 at level, 20, for instance. I want that to be the same unlock across all healers, but the passives are what makes it customizable for the characters. So yes, Mercy and Lucio both heal, but one of them also gives a speed boost while the other one can res naturally. I want those passives, that kind of stuff, being with the different characters. So the different characters you unlock is an encouragement to unlock them to give you more customization, and then setting the gambits up on top of them. The gambits I want to be static, that you can move in between. Yes, you might have a heal where this one says, heal an ally at 70% HP, use Cura. The tank may not have Cura. You know what I'm saying? But their cure ability that they do have at 70%, use cure at 70%, is not going to hit as hard as when a healer has that. So you probably, even though you unlock that healer one, you want to put it on the healer. But I want the passives for each individual character to be different. So you can customize the passive abilities for your entire team. Hence the reason why you want to unlock more characters, more gambits. You move a different healer in, for instance, you can change your whole gambit system around. You would have to change your whole gambit system around, because they might have 25% chance where a cure doesn't cost MP. That might be their passive. So being able to have different characters allows you to be able to customize your layout when gambits aren't even a situation. That just now allows more customization on top of it.
Yeah, you got a variety.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, tanks, range DPS, melee DPS, and healers. Those are the kind of 4 classes I was looking for on there. Probably caster as well. DPS caster. But that would be under range DPS, I would say. So like Final Fantasy 14 style. Tanks, range DPS, which is like Thunder Mage and Archer. And then your healers and melee DPS. So kind of those 4 classes, that's why you run 4, but you can run any combination of them.
Yeah, well, you could do like a physical ranged to add, the 5th class. But yeah, you want to have a variety of options for the people to choose from and build different variety of parties and all that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah, ranged, you could have a summoner, as well as a archer and a black mage, that kind of style.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, gotcha. So that's why I want the passives, because yes, you may unlock a character. Once you unlock a character, then it's oh man, I already got a healer. This is a different healer, but this healer has this passive ability. That changes my whole layout. In fact, because it's 25% of their cures don't cost MP, I can move my MP restore MP gambit. I can move that to my summoner and be able to move my summoner into my rotation. Previously, I only had one of those gambits, so I wouldn't use that. I would use a melee, ranged healer, a tank, and a second tank. And now that it frees up that MP usage, I can move that MP self-cast to my summoner or black mage and work them into my rotation. Now that they're in my rotation, I can completely change who gets what gambits. And that's why it's the progression of when you unlock a new level, you get a new gambit slot, and you can move them in between your characters. And once you actually unlock actual gambits to fill those slots, then it's the customization that makes it versatile, and you can play it around your style, what you want to do. Dungeon's really hard because the boss hits really hard. Run 2 tanks. He's got a hard EOE. Run 1 tank and 2 range DPS and a healer. You can change it up, but then you would change the actual gambits of who gets what and who gets what system. So I like the customization because you can run anything. It's kind of like linking in Path of Exile. You might have one ability, but if you link it with 5 other things, it's a completely different ability than if you link it with 5 different things. So it allows you full customization.
So are your gambits per account, or are they per character type? Does that make sense?
I got what you're saying.
Part of your 4 characters is each character have their own set of gambits, or are you talking like one large gambit set for the account?
For the account, when you get to say level 10, you have 10 gambits. If you're running 4 people, then everybody can have 2, and 2 of them can have 2 more. One more each, because that's 10 gambits that you spread amongst your 4 people. If you hit level 20, you have 20 gambits to spread amongst those 4 people. And that's what, 5 per?
That adds a level of difficulty, which I'm not against.
Right. Because every time you hit a level, it gives a new gambit. You can assign it to who you want. Now, if you take somebody out of your lineup that had 5 gambits on them, slots. They had 5 slots on them. You take them out of your lineup. Now you have 5 slots to be able to put with your other people, the other 3 people, or if you move a 4th person in, give them your 5. So your gambits or your slots are based upon your level that you actually hit. Now, with 4 people on there that you're running at once, maybe it's every other level, because if you go to level 100, that's 50 slots, 5 people, that means you're running on what, 12? Yeah, you're running 12 to 13 gambit slots. And if you look on the screen right now, that's 12. And that was Final Fantasy X. And you can customize. The more levels you get, the more you can customize the character you don't want to play, or it's self-reliance or self-sustained that it actually can do. But it's based upon the level of the account. So every time you hit a level, or every other level, obviously it's up for debate on there, then you get a new slot that you can put anywhere you want. Now, what to put in those slots, again, that's like rewards. Instead of getting a sword, an axe, a shield, a new staff, a new cloak, new boots and pants, shirt, whatever it is, I don't give a shit. You can actually get a rare drop where it gives you a gambit that you can use to fill a slot. So you might have more slots than spots to fill. And then as you get ones, you can customize. Oh man, this one's a really good one. I can put this one in here for my range DPS and then move that MP one over to my healer. And then when my healer's got that, now that they're saving MP, I can use the auto cast item and move that to my tank. So when they get hit with it for a crit, they can auto cast an item to be able to actually prevent damage for a certain amount of time. So it'll, as soon as you unlock one, it blows up your fucking gambit system and you have to reorganize and recustomize your list. Now, no matter what, it won't be breaking it because you could still run the dungeons automatically. You don't have to run gambits. You can sit there and manually click, but running 4 characters live, not turn-based, makes it difficult. So it encourages the fact of you unlocking and getting gambits down the line. And then later on, you can say, hey, this is a 30-minute dungeon. Auto run. And let it auto run. May be successful. You may get the loot out of it. Great. But if you're able to self-sustain a run without actually not being hands-on, the rewards aren't going to be better than what you currently have. You're just going to be able to actually farm that bad boy and get everything out of it that actually can possibly drop on that rate. Eventually, you'll have all the items. Then you can go into the next one. And the next one will be a little bit more difficult. So you may have to actually redo your gambit system, your lineup, your characters of that you're using. This is just brainstorming. But you can tell I put a little bit of thought into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking deeper, like, well, what's going to bring people back to play? What's going to keep them enticed to keep playing this and that?
Well, the big thing is the autoplay ability, because if you set it out to run a certain amount of time, say you set it up for 4 hours of dungeons and running the same dungeon for 4 hours, but it averages 30 minutes per dungeon that it runs. That's great and all. That means you're going to run it 8 times. When you come back, you'll be able to see the rewards of those 8, take the gear, sell the extra pieces, scrap it for any kind of crafting that would be introduced into the game later, or then go in and be like, hey, I got 2 new gambits out of this. Let me see if they're better and maybe change different lineups. Now, that's with the PvE side of things, because the dungeon crawling. PvP would also be in there, where you can actually run your set of 4 versus another set of 4 of equal rank. And
now you just dangerous.
Now what?
You just got dangerous.
Yes. But PvE is a way to be able to flex your lineup, your characters, your gambit system, and it's not one you would be able to control. It's theirs versus yours, and lineup versus lineup. They run 4 healers, and you don't have enough DPS to keep knock out their healers. Eventually, they're gonna kill you. Run 4 tanks or 4 melee DPS and try to zerg somebody down. Zerg out the tank, and then once you zerg out the tank, everybody else is clean pickings. You could run different lineups. That's what I'm saying about the PvE and PvP side of things. The PvP is to be able to unlock stuff. The PvP would be kind of a flex, but maybe you could do rewards, tournaments, whatever it may be, to be able to unlock higher tier gambits, an extra gambit slot, a new character you could roll, just a random dice. Because honestly, if you have 4 difference, melee, ranged, tank, and healer, you could have 10 for each. That's 40 characters. They all have different passives.
As far as PvP goes, I like the idea of it being gambit play only versus you can freehand it and play and choose your abilities yourself while you play it.
Yes.
Or gambit. I prefer to be gambit. This way it adds more of a challenge to it for people.
Yeah, because what I would also recommend being able to have is when you run that gambit, win or lose, you could watch the replay of what happened. Because you're watching the replay of the gambit versus gambit, you might be able to change your gambit system around and be like, look, he wasn't healing. He ran out of mana too fast. And be able to change maybe the HP auto heal 70%. maybe change it to a different gambit that you have in your system, maybe at 80%, because by the time that 70 was going off and hit 70, by the time the cast went off, you were already at 50. And then it would just, your healer was then locked in a gambit trying to heal him back up to 70% to get him above it, and never could. So it'll let you be able to view it and customize your gambit system.
I agree.
I'm sorry, I just got a text from one of my classmates. But I love the idea because it's an autoplay, but it's not entirely autoplay. You have to unlock, and if you wanted to be able to be more hands-on, somebody controlling a character, like in Final Fantasy XI, if you're controlling a character, more than likely it's better than any autoplay gambit system that you have. That is just to supplement the character. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 13. The other character, you're controlling one and setting them up, and the other two run. Gambit is never as proficient as yourself, but it is proficient when you're having to control 4 people. You can't control 4 at that speed because it's active. It's not a turn base. So if you're controlling 1 and the other 3 have gambits, awesome. Good for you. That's what we want. But you want to get it to where it can self-sustain and be able to run itself.
I'm with you. You writing any of this down?
No, I'm just brainstorming with you right now. Plus, I'm streaming it, so it's technically recorded.
That's fair.
I record them all and put them on my hard drive. So if I ever die unexpectedly, my kids can watch these. Yes, I think that morbid. So what do you think? Like, give me some feedback. What you would like, what you dislike. What are some options? Because it is a lot of coding, but I do want to say that when you're coding for a game and you're fighting NPCs, like in an RPG, you are putting gambits in anyways for it to heal at a certain level. You're doing that on the back end. This would just be things on the front end. And again, microtransactions, I do not want pay to win. I do not want that, even though there are whales out there. That's great and all. But I wouldn't mind some kind of microtransactions for maybe XP, a little bit of XP gain, or being able to unlock an extra slot, but it can only do it once a week or something like that. I would like things in there where people can purchase to be obviously, I don't want it to pay to win. So that would be a delicate balance. I don't want to put that upon, but I do want a little bit of a grind fest in there for being able to self-sustain dungeons, gambits, customization. The customization is the big thing because it's like playing rock, paper, scissors. No matter what you choose, something will be better. And if you change to that, something else will be better. So the meta will constantly flux. So there is no better than other because you can unlock anything. You can open anything. You can run any character set.
The only kind of pay scale thing I like is when things are cosmetic.
Okay.
This way there's no pay to win, but yet you're still making money. You could, change
like Path of Exile, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that whatsoever because we could do cosmetic based upon skins for characters, because if we do 10 of each class, then you could do multiple skins for each class as well. Different colors, different outfits, kind of like Overwatch. Overwatch and Path of Exile both are cosmetic. Nothing for pay to win. Nothing that influences the game itself. And that would be great because then you could also have that as rewards for the PvE tournament, or extra things you can do for special events for PvE and PvP. So if you win the tournament, it's not necessarily you unlocking a new slot or getting a rare type of gambit. It is a skin that when people see you, they know this motherfucker won a tournament.
Yeah, like we're one of a kind, never, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
For winning that tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. If I would like some kind of microtransaction, and if it is actually, I'm fully against microtransactions, pay to win. But if it is cosmetic, I'm 100% in support of that. 100%. And I'm standing up and kind of having a cigarette because I'm passionate about this, but I don't know shit about coding. I just like the idea of being able to do that. Plus, the reason you see why I said mobile game on this, right?
Yeah. As far as like a replay of either dungeon battles or the PvP battles, I think just more of a basic, for data purposes, like you said, be able to watch a replay of it.
Yeah.
I think just a text playback, like, fireball damage, 70 points, blah, blah, blah. Um, this way they can see what their abilities did, but there's like, storage wise, memory wise, processing wise, it's
That's
just text
that's
based.
hard to be able to do if it's a gambit system, because yeah, it may say damage dealt this, but you can't see that your healer was locked in auto heals. It wouldn't be long dungeons, by the way, that they run. It's like go in, first wave, second wave, boss wave. And if you manually control it, it may take, we don't want it to be too long, like 3 minutes. But if you auto run it, it takes 10.
Yeah, I'm trying to relate it to other games I've played where like you're kind of forced, like maybe you could play for like a half hour to an hour, and then you have to wait like 3 or 4 hours before you can really do something again in the game because you
I
gotta wait
hate
for
those. Yeah.
some sort of credit to build up or something like that.
What you could do is you can do the video rewards, where when you watch a video, it unlocks a 4-hour slot, and that 4-hour slot allows you to auto run a dungeon for 4 hours. So right before, like when I go to right before you go to bed, you watch a video or two, an advertisement video or two, and it gives you 2 4-hour slots, or it's a random. It could be a 1-hour slot, 2-hour slot, 4-hour slot, 8-hour one, etc. And being able to actually put those in, you can stack them on your character, go to bed, wake up, and it ran the dungeon all night for you. And that's not pay to win. You can't buy them. It's just, turning the video on. You know what I'm saying? Watching an advertisement. It's an advertisement one.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like and I'm just like brainstorming things through my head.
Yeah.
Do dungeons cost like a certain amount of credits? And so by watching a video, you get 50 credits. And say each dungeon costs 10 credits, you can run 5 dungeons, something like that.
Exactly. So it's not forced. You can manually run dungeons, and you can manually run dungeons for free, all you fucking want. But if you wanted to auto run it while you're sleeping and be productive while you sleep, you'd probably want to watch a video or two, get some credits on there, and let it run for you. I agree. That's something you can buy, not something you can buy. Let me clarify.
Yeah, because then you get a whale in there that's like, I'm going to buy 1,000 credits. So yeah, we don't want that.
Exactly. But yeah, for PvP tournaments, you'd have to have a certain level. So you could have a tournament for each level if you wanted to, where you have a level 20, and all your characters will be put at level 20 to enter this tournament. And level 20 means you only have 20 gambit slots, or 10 if we do the every other level. So you only have 20 gambit slots to be able to customize your 4 players, which means they have a maximum of 5 each. Yeah, you can put 10 on your tank, and then 10 on your healer, but your other 2 characters will be doing whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want, because you don't have gambits on them.
Yeah, kind of like World of Warcraft Battlegrounds, how they did it by every 10 levels.
Yeah, I never played WoW, so I don't know.
So they had Battlegrounds, and it was 1 through 10 Battlegrounds, and then 11 through 19 or 11 through 20, something like that.
Yeah.
This way, you're not fighting like a level 20 versus a level 60, and you're just going to get dominated.
Right. The exact same process. So you could have each week, a level 20 tournament, 40 tournament, a 60 tournament, 80, and then cap. So, yeah, I agree. You can do a tournament each week on there, and that's when you kind of get the winner of the tournament gets the skin. Second place gets a random reward, and third place gets you could say credits for auto runs. You know what I'm saying?
And then you could do like some sort of weekly contest, monthly contest, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Exactly. So that would be on the PvP side of things, and you level up in PvE, but or you can level up in PvP, you still get XP on it. But you only get XP if you win, so you know, good luck. But unlocking stuff would be PvE and the credit running and such. Crafting. Eventually, I would like to have crafting in there when you have items that no longer you instead of just throwing them on the ground, you could like scrap them. And once you have a certain amount of scraps, you could either A, use it to craft a new piece of gear, or B, turn the scraps into the, you know, metal smith or whatever, and get credits for it in exchange. And those credits you can use. So old gear, you can turn in, use the credits to be able to have it auto run. Again, I want to have multiple options for being able to have those credits for auto running. So old gear doesn't go to waste. You're not just replacing it and throwing it on the ground.
Yeah, so like if you get some gear that you don't need, you sell it, you get credits. You can use those credits, and you could do transmog. And like, say you got a blue shirt, you want it to be red, you can
Yeah.
pay for those credits to make it red. This way, they're also spending those credits that could possibly be for a dungeon. You can use it to
Yeah.
customize your look.
Yeah. Customize what you're looking like. But remember, yeah, that's it. The transmog, you would spend it to be able to transmog it once. You can take a look at it, but then you could accept it. Once it's accepted, bam, those credits are gone. And then you get a new character. Yeah, that new character's there, but you can't be able to. That character may not have a shirt. You know what I'm saying? So you can't move it over. So transmogging would actually be pretty cheap on there. That's customization though. 40 different characters, 40 different passives, 4 different types of jobs.
Well, it kind of sounded like you said as far as gear. Like, I don't care if you get a knife, a sword, a dagger, blah blah blah, whatever. But that character is always going to kind of do the same damage with it. There's no weapon that's better than anything else.
No, you would be able to get better weapons. You can upgrade your characters, not just with the gambit system, because the gambit just reacts to what they have available. So if a healer has a shitty MP pool, it doesn't matter on the MP pool because it can only cast so much. But if you get a better staff, you might get an extra 50 mana or something along those lines. You actually get, as the gear upgrades, your character upgrades. So not only are you customizing the character the way it looks, and if you like that passive and want to roll with that, you can get better gear to up its abilities. You're not changing the abilities. You're not changing Cure. But if Cure has a better staff, it's not hitting you as hard because Cure costs less because it's less mana of your pool because you have a better staff. So the gear would affect the character. And so swords will be better swords, do better damage. Same character, just leveled up gear. So you're not leveling your character, you're leveling gear on the character. You're keeping the passive as static and customizing it with the gambits.
Yeah, I mean, just when you said let's add crafting, I was like, what would you craft other than like maybe some sort of potions for XP or mana potions or health potions?
Yeah.
Because I thought the gear was static, so to say.
Gotcha. No, you could, if you get a certain amount of scrap metal from turning in old gear, you might be able to go to the blacksmith and turn in, say, I have 500 scrap metals from all the other gear that I've turned in from shit that I got in, you know, dungeons that I don't need. It's weaker than what I already have, or I've got duplicates of this. You can turn those in, get scrap. When you get enough scrap, you can have the blacksmith craft a new weapon. And then you're rocking that weapon. So your DPS and your melee tank, or a melee, raised 50 points, and that may help you clear a different dungeon that you haven't been able to in the past without getting a new gambit, without getting a new slot. So it's a way to be able to customize and upgrade your character as you go. And I'm not going to do degrading damage. I hate that shit. Where you got to repair shit? Well, no. Fuck no. I hate that shit. I hate repairing gear. You get it, it's it.
Yeah, that's fine.
What else?
Are there any quests of any sort, or just straight up dungeons?
Dungeons would be the main thing, but what kind of questing were you thinking of? Like I said, this is brainstorming.
I don't know yet.
Okay. Okay. Um, questing wise, you can send them like on fetch quests. Maybe this, for instance. Another thing you can unlock is a fetch quest slot. So one of the characters you're not rolling with in your normal 4-man raid dungeon party that you're running your dungeons with, auto running or physically running, one of the other characters you've unlocked, you can send them on a fetch quest to be able to, get scrap metal, be able to get coins, whatever it may be. You can send them on fetch quests that are a longer distance. They're free to be able to send them, but they take time. So it's a way for you to be able to continue to pull resources, to be able to keep stacking things up to be able to upgrade.
Yeah, I've played games like that too. That, like you said, characters you're not using, you can send them to the mines,
There you
and
go.
in a 4-hour block, they can get certain types of ore that can be used to craft whatever.
Exactly, and you can work that ore into your crafting system at the blacksmith, where it's not just getting the scrap metal and turning it in. You need 2 different types of ore as well. So I got the scrap metal, but I haven't gotten those ores yet. So I continue to send my my 2 people down to the mines. So you hate a character, be like, man, I hate this fucking character. You're gonna live in the mines, and you could just keep sending them to the mines until they come back with that ore that you're getting. Obviously, the higher level of the not the character, but the higher the level of the mine you send them to, the longer it would take for them to return with items. So short mine, you copper, iron, whatever it may be, comes back pretty decently, helping you level up lower tier pieces of gear to mid tier. But then you eventually will need, an onyx or a onyx ore or something like that, and you got to send them to the fucking 8-hour mine. So right before you go to bed at night, you throw your 4-man dungeon party in, let them run off those credits, and then you could send 2 or 3 other people, because you've unlocked those slots, to that hard ass 8-hour mine. So when you wake up in the morning, you could check your rewards to see if any of them got successful for you to upgrade that main melee weapon or that main shield for your tank.
Exactly.
So we're on the same page. So like I said, this is a lot of just this, that, and the other. Being able to actually run them is a little bit of a different story, because you would have to be able to select the character and see its abilities and be able to kind of cast and go, or melee, or I would say it's more like a Player Unknown's Battleground, the way the layout would be with the buttons on the left and the right. But it would be more of a, not top down, but more of kind of a slanted angle, kind of above and behind, where you can select the frontline tank, and then it opens up the options for the tank, and then you could choose the options as you're playing. So you could be like taunt, and then hit the character you want to taunt, and then you can say, shield bash, and you hit that one to stun an ability. So you can actually control that character. But then if you wanted to get out of that, you hit the little X or whatever, pull back to your original camera angle, hit a different character, and grab them. Man, heals are getting light. I forgot to put my gambits on my actual healer. Go to healer, and then once you leave your main tank, if it has gambits, it initiates the gambit system that it had remaining on it. Then you can go to healer and manual cast heal. So if you notice something that's struggling, you can go over there and manually play that actual character and help it along. So it'd be 4 players, but you only control one at a time. Hence the reason why the gambit system is so sought after and the end game be all end all, because if you get a good gambit, you don't have to control any of them.
Interface.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Do what?
That's a tough one.
It is.
Because I'm thinking like cell phone size, since you want to make mobile, and I'm like, that's so much to put on one screen.
Right. That's why I say the center of the screen. Hold on. Let's do this. Let me pull up paint, because obviously my paint skills. Oh, widescreen. So there's your typical mobile device. Let's do. Oh, nope. Black. Here we go. So we got tank up front, and then you could have melee. You have your ranged DPS back here and healer over here. So it keeps it mainly within. Let's do a red box. Oh, oh, black here. Here we go. Now a red. You want to see your main fighting happening in this window. Your main engagement happening within that red one. So the controls, when you actually click on one, you're going to want controls. Let's do, wait, stay with red. Click over here, get green. In this area. In this area. And then you can obviously have like a health pool up here in the top right. And maybe a mana pool in the top right. So you can have kind of a thumbstick controller on both sides. And then you can have an ability here, here, and here, along with here, here, and here. So it keeps the action in the center, and it allows you to be able to kind of jump in between. Because when you select one, say you select your healer, which we'll do this. Healer, ranged DPS. Tank, DPS, straight up. So if you wanted to play one of them, you could actually just tap one of them, and then it would change the outer edges for being able to actually use the abilities. So the interface, again, the game is still going on in the center, because you have the melee obviously happening at the top of the screen. So the fight is happening at the top of the screen itself. And we could even pull these back. We can move the full thing. I can't move it. But we could pull it back a little bit where the tank is more towards the center of the screen and the DPS is more towards the center or left or right, depending on where you place and position him. But do you see what I'm saying about the screen itself, right?
Yeah, I'm following.
Cool. So like I said, melee, I mean, your HP bar, you could have it in the top left. You can have melee and your mana in the top left of what you're controlling, and then the enemy in the top right, what you're currently targeting. So if I have tank targeted, I might be able to hit, you know, this icon over here. Hold on. Let me just get a fucking... can I get just a... whatever. So right here might be the taunt ability. And then you might have a defensive or a stun ability right here. And then right here you have a secondary taunt ability. And then left-hand side you might have casting. So right-hand side is, physical. Left-hand side is use an aura or a shield. Like a mana shield almost around you. Or being able to... shield bash for a stun or something like that. So each one of the actual abilities would be on the left, and you would obviously unlock those as you progress. So like, remember how we said you don't have cure 4 as a level 1 mage. Once you hit level 20, you have cure 2. Level 30, you have cure 3. So those unlock as you actually progress through the system, because that leaves a lot of real estate on the screen for action and a little bit of thumb space in the top left, top right. So it'd be a sideways playing game, not a vertical, like a old handheld.
Yeah, just an old school side scroller.
Yeah. Well, not a side scroller, because this is like a... Hold on. So if... I'm trying to think of the camera angle on it. So it's like, here's the camera angle, and the fighting is down here in the screen. So you're looking down upon it. So you see the tank up here, melee DPS on this side, the healer, and the range. Ooh, the range DPS. So you're looking down. Up. Oh, that's not even good. You're looking. There's an arrow, isn't there? Yeah. Nope. I can't even do an arrow. Whatever. You're looking down upon it. So it's kind of like not a top down, not straight down, but you're looking at.
Slight angle.
Yes, a slight angle. So you're kind of not a straight down. I don't want to straight down because then it's just a pixel. And what's the point of customizing your character? I want to be able to see, you know, the new backplate I got. I want to be able to see the action, but it's in front of them. So you don't see their faces. You're kind of behind and above. I know that looks really shitty. It's the first layout.
It's fine.
But reason for that is because as the game, as you beat like that first wave, for instance, the game goes that way. So you stay at that upward position, but your characters move forward as you defeat. So it's not a side scroller, it's more of a.
So you're like an old, like a Space Invaders scrolling upwards.
Well, let's see. Let me. Path of Exile. Great way to be able to put it. But Path of Exile's view isn't amazing. Hold on. I'm going to pull up Path of Exile real quick. Even though I'm not going to really play. So more of like an angle like this when you're going upward. And it'd be a straight up. So you're above them. And that's not very good. Let me do this. There we go. That should be a little more smooth.
I get what you're saying.
So you would actually have like right here, I would say right here would be the tank, the melee DPS, and then you would see back here, you're actually rain. Oh, you can't see my mouse because my shit's all up in the way. And this one. So right here would be your tank, so you can see the enemy you're fighting and see, oh man, he's big and, oh, you can't see my fucking mouse now. There he is. Up here would be like the guy you're fighting. And then you could also have little ones on the side, like ranged on this side, ranged to this side, that are attacking your main character. But then you have your melee right beside. Let's come a little further out. Like that. And it would just be, as it goes, it would just be straight up. So your characters defeat that group and they keep going upward. But this one is, it's got your character in the center of the screen. I kind of like that, but I would also like the melee DPS right here beside one or the other, because it comes in with the tank, but the tank holds the hate. And then back here would be your healer and your ranged DPS. And as you defeat a group, you all move up together. And then you fight the next guy. Big dude fighting you, blah, blah, blah. But then you see the healer up here in the top right, healing him. So you might put your ranged DPS by selecting him real quick. I can't do that, but you select him. And then click on the ranged healer and say, ranged DPS, they're holding him. I need you to attack that healer in the meantime. So you select him, select the target, and then you actually have the controls on the right-hand side and the left-hand side.
But do you make that part of the part of the Gambit system where you can choose the positioning of your characters before they go into a dungeon as well?
Because it gives you like this screen right here, and you can place them where you want to place them. If you want to put your melee in front of your tank, do it. But they're going to get fucking ran over because your tank is your tank. So you can put them where you want to be able to put them. Just just a grid system for that. Nothing too spectacular. Your healer would have a certain range. Your healer couldn't throw heals into the top left of your screen. It would have a certain range that it could actually do it. You want to make sure your healer's in range of your tank. But then, yeah, as you defeat, you move together. And yeah, when you're talking skins and stuff, I'm not saying as elaborate as this, but you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. No, I think we're on the same page as far as that stuff goes.
But yeah, that's the kind of, this is too close, way too close for the amount of screen it would cover. So you'd have to be something like PoE, where the center of the screen is your tank, and then you can have your melee, you can put them left or right, you can put them wherever the fuck you want, I don't care, but it can't go across the front half of the screen. You can't have your melee at the top because then you'll never see the enemies. So you would be able to place them on the first half of the screen where you want them to be. You can put your melee back here, so when the tank engages, it has a charge. You could have a charge effect that at level 5, your melee tank gets a charge to be able to stun the enemy and start engagements. So it starts engagements with the charge. It can happen once every minute or once every 30 seconds. But you could also manually control it as well. I gotta pee. Give me 1 sec. I gotta take a piss.
All right.
So we talked about like the different things you can do, the style of it as well. What else? I know it's a lot to be able to do. I don't know coding though. That's why I at least wanted to touch base with you on this. I'm not saying, yay, get working on it. I'm just brainstorming with you.
I mean, basically, we've got to lock down the fundamentals.
Agreed.
What do we want them to be able to do, not do, blah, 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 this and that.
Right.
Work your way into, after you reach the foundation of that, then you work your way into probably the layout of your screens.
Right.
Then you start talking about your character abilities, and then you probably start getting to the math of like a cure for 50 points or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Attacks this and attacks that.
Agreed. Okay.
I mean, I think we've discussed a solid foundation of what we want people to be able to do and not do to get a good start on working forward on making some sort of game/business plan for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Making almost like a proposal idea where we actually have a good foundation to build upon. What do you think of the 4-man? You like 4-man? I think 5-man's too much. I think 4-man gives you variety, but it isn't overwhelming. 3-man I think is not enough. I think a 4-man group is solid.
A 3 or 4 man is fine for me. I think 5 is, you start pushing it too much.
Yeah, agreed.
I think we should, or it should offer a base of like, starting out with the game, 8 to 10 characters to choose from. And then, as the game grows or whatever, you add more type of characters.
I think obviously the tutorial would be your one character that you choose easily defeatable, and then once you defeat that, you acquire a second character. Run a second one, you get a third character. The fourth one is unlocked after like level 5 or something like that. So you have the 3 to start with to get the fundamentals down without being overwhelmed, and then you get that 4th one to be able to start customizing. And then with each additional character, you can rotate them in as you unlock them.
Yeah, or you can even once again, purchasing with your credits, buy a character, hire, a thief to join your party or something like that.
Well, now you said hire thief. You're saying gear wise?
Temporarily hire another person to be in your party.
Oh, I don't know about temporary hire, because remember, gambits change it constantly. Would you hire one that's got a predetermined gambit system? So you can't customize, change, or anything, but you could actually add them in. And when you add them in for a certain period of time, they would have a predetermined, you can't customize them whatsoever. I'm against that. And the reason I say I'm against that, say you have 20 points to 20 gambits to be able to move amongst 4 people, right? So far, so with me?
Yeah.
So you're averaging 5 per section. If that is the case and you hire one in to substitute one of yours out, you have an extra 5 gambits to put on your other 3 people. Because I think if you just hire them for a day or a week, you would need to be able to have it as a predetermined, so no matter who hires it, it's the same gambit system across the board. I don't want somebody to be able to hire one and then have to start from scratch with that new character to be able to customize the gambits that would work upon them. Unless I'm willing to listen to the other side of that.
I mean, it was just an idea. I don't have any kind of rebuttal.
Oh,
That's like you get to a certain level and you're having problems finishing this dungeon, or like you said, maybe like you're starting out with 1 character or 2 characters, and like, I've got the credits. I could buy that 3rd, 4th character now to push me past this and get that 4th character in my party.
that's why I think the 4th character should be level based. So you can run 3 to get the flow of the game, and then the 4th one just adds on top of it. Because if you're running, say you get those same 20 gambits, you run 1 character, you can put 20 on him. It doesn't improve the abilities of it. Remember, it doesn't change the attack harder or faster or anything like that. It's not buffing a character. All it is getting itself a sustain. So if you're running 1 character, that's not going to be as successful as all 4. That's why when you get, level 1, you start with 2 people, maybe their brother and sister or something like that. And one's a tank and one's a healer. And you start with that one. And then after you beat the tutorial, you get your 3rd, which is, somebody that you pick up along the way. And then at level 5, you get your 4th character, which kind of opens the door of being able to customize. Then you can unlock additional characters as you go down the line for whatever reasons. It could be a certain level, you get an extra character or a random roll on one of the characters you do not have. I don't want to have duplicate characters. So it's like if you have 40 and you've got 39, the next one you unlock is the last one you haven't unlocked yet. But I do want them kind of spread out a little bit, because remember, no characters can be better than the other. They're just going to have their own passives. So it doesn't matter if you unlock one, but say at level 10, you unlock another tank. You don't know which tank. You already have 1. There's 9 others. And it's a random roll on which one. And when you unlock that 1 tank, yeah, it's passive. You may like more, you may not like it as much, but you still can run with your tank. But in certain situations, if it may have a 50% cooldown reduction on stuns, and you may have a dungeon that you run into where you can almost stun lock the boss and use that as a way to defeat it. So you may not like running that 50, like, oh, that stun sucks. But in that boss, in that situation, in that dungeon, you would need to customize it to be able to run that dungeon. Set up the gambits on it and let it run that one. But I like being able to. I'd hate for somebody to get the reward of being able to unlock a character and it's one they already have. I hate games that do that too. You know what I'm saying?
Like getting the same character over and over.
Yeah, because it's a easier drop rate. Yes, what we could do is obviously wait. Make them weighted, so when it does roll, a new tank, and you got 1 tank already, there's 9 other tanks in the game, you could have 5 of them as common, So once you get all the commons, you know next time you're not getting any more commons. You already got all the commons. So next time you're going to get at least a rare. You could have 5 commons out of the 10. You could have 5 commons, 3 rare, and 2 epics, depending on their passive, depending on, you know, how much of a vial or how rare they actually are. Remember, you can customize them both with gear and the colors of any of their outfits. But yeah, when you get a certain level, you get, maybe you can do not every other. If there's 40 characters and by level 5 you have 4, it all depends on the level cap that you actually go to. I obviously want to have a level cap of 100, so I mean that's another 10, and you're looking at maybe you can get an unlock every 5 levels. That means what, another, my math is bad, 40, 45.
5 goes into 150 times.
Yeah, and you already have level 5, and you have 4 of them, which means you have... Wow, my math just died. If you already have 4 at level 5, how many more are you unlocking? You're unlocking... If there's 10 of each, that's 40. You've got 4, that's 36 more. 36 out of 100. Yeah, you can do it almost every 5. Almost. Every 5 levels, you unlock a new character. And it rotates what character.
I would say that could that be any random character? Because I'd be really annoyed if I got, like, my first 3 characters were all, like, 3 healers or something like that.
Wouldn't it be annoying, though, that you unlocked a healer and you know 15 levels, or... Yeah, 15 more levels until you unlock another healer, until you get the one you want. How about this? And this is compromise on here. How about when you hit every 5 levels, you get to choose where the roll goes. You want to roll a tank? You want to roll a ranged DPS? You want to roll a melee DPS? You want to roll a healer? At that level 5, you choose which one, and it rolls that one. So if you have your heart set on a specific healer, and you want to continue spamming the healer ones, yeah, you may get all 10 healers before you get anything else, but that means you're stuck with the same tank and same melee and same range. But you could also, remember, change your lineup. You want to run 3 healers and 1 tank? Go for it. Your dungeons may take a little bit longer. You don't have much damage, but you can focus on that specific one that you want to do. What about that? Does that sound where you could choose where your roll goes every 5 levels?
I think I like that better than the chance of randomness.
I agree. The chance of randomness, it could go anywhere when you want to be. If you saw one character, you're like, I want that motherfucker. But say you wanted a specific tank, and at level 10, that's the next roll for a tank. You roll, it's a common. You don't get what you want. Next one is ranged DPS at level 15. Next one is healer at level 20. And the next one is melee at 25. And then your next chance to get it would be at 30.
I like the characters having rankings of, like, common, rare, legendary, something like that as well.
Right. And the only reason they're ranked that way is because of how actual common they are in those random rolls. It's just weighted rolls, weighted die. So if you wanted to focus on one, you could use it. It'll say, hey, level 10, congratulations. Where would you like your random character to be pulled from? And you have the 4 classes. And you're like, you know what? I want that fucking tank. So you hit tank, you don't get it. Damn, didn't get it at level 10. Level 15 is your next one. And that's 1 more character off the board, so you have a higher chance. You get the one you want right off the bat.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too, where you can actually choose where that roll goes. So if you want to build your team around 3 tanks and 1 healer, or 3 healers and 1 tank, you could roll towards those characters and customize quicker. But you would start with 1 of each. So beginning off, you'd have a brother and sister, a healer and a tank. And then you would be able to your first tutorial run, level 1 or whatever, it pushes you to level 2, but you unlock a melee DPS or range DPS, you choose. And then at level 5, you unlock the other one. Level 10, you start choosing which ones you want to actually put your rolls to. So it allows you at level 10 to start beefing one of those 4 slots. Like, man, I really like that passive on that thing. And that's just a guess on every 5 levels, because that allows you every 5 levels allows you. There goes the math again. Every 5 levels will allow you how many rolls? Up to 100.
I told you I taught the math, so.
I gotcha. So if it's every 5, that means it would be 20 total characters to unlock. But that you have 40. So maybe you can unlock 2 every. That's almost perfect. You can unlock 2 every. Not just 2. I would say you have the choice. You are getting a character every 5 levels. Your choice. But you can use the second one to be able to get like an 8-hour raid pass, an ore you're looking for, or another character. So it gives you the option of those 3. Once you've unlocked characters, you've unlocked all the characters. But every 5 levels, you get a choice. You get 1 character, but if you want a secondary roll on it, you can as well. Because remember, if it's every 5 levels, that means you only get 20 unlocks. There's 40 characters. You start with 4. You're given 4. So that means you have 36 more to get. And if there's only 20 levels or 20 times you can actually choose, that almost allows you to double up every 5. So I like the idea of the characters because, again, the characters, they're all exactly even. But when I say even, nobody has a clear difference. The gear is what makes the difference between the characters, and the passive of how your playstyle is. You want the healer that auto regains mana, 1 MP per level you currently are. You want one that 25% of the time it doesn't cost mana to actually cast. You want one that gets 1 revive per battle. So every time you fight, it can revive a character that is downed in combat. You want one that when you start the fight automatically casts Protect and Shell or Shield around your characters to be able to take more resistance. Those are just, 5 I came up with right then? So you would be able to customize 10 different characters, 10 different styles, and be able to the only difference between them, you can move. Now the question would be, are you going to be able to move gear in between them? I'd say between classes. Like all healers can use the same gear. So if you have a staff, you want to move from one character to another, you can move that staff. But a staff can't be moved on to your melee DPS. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with gear being class specific.
Okay. Good.
Might have to limit how many characters they can get, because remember we talked about sending characters you're not using in your party on those quests for supplies. We don't want them to start gaining supplies too fast. If I've got 15 extra characters I can send away.
I agree. That's why I think you would have a maximum limit of what you can send. And maybe you can do that in increments. Like you hit level 10, you can send 1 of the mines. You hit level 20, you can send a second one of the mines. You hit level 30, you can send a third one to the mine. So as you progress, you have more capabilities of running those resources because you're going to need the higher tiers for the higher crafting, for the higher gear. But they do take longer. And then you could also work in, it's level, you could say level 10, you get the mine one, but level 20, you get a fetch quest one that does maybe just, I don't know, a fetch quest. And then level 30, you get a second mining one. And then the 40, you get another fetch quest. So you have ability to be able to focus those people towards different areas. Yes, you got a character, you unlocked a new character. Yes, you got a specific item or a secondary character, but you also have the capabilities of being able to send them out. Now, I don't want, obviously, like you said, I don't want 15 people to go to the mine. That's fucking stupid. Your 4 that are in your party cannot go. It's any extras, but I would put a limit on it. Maybe 5 maximum go to the mine, because remember, as your level scales and as you want harder shit and to get, there's going to be longer time frames of when you send them into the mine. So yes, you may be able to send them all to the mine, but if it's a 12-hour return on one of those bad boys, you can't use him in combat. You can't call him back from the mine early. He's gone. He's in the mine. He's down there working. So maybe a maximum of 3 being able to go to the mines, or 5 being able to go to the mines, and then you could actually send 3 or 4 others to farming to be able to get, potions, oils, food, to be able to actually get things for in combat use tools. So you can send all these different people, all different races. But yeah, if you have 40 characters, I don't want all 40 doing something. That's 4 in your party and 36 doing something. That's way too many. I agree with you. That's kind of the point you were going with, right?
Correct.
So I'd say maybe 5 cap. So you're level 100. You're capped. 5 to the mines and maybe 5 to other quests, or 3 to the mines and 3 to other quests. You can even do it that way. So 30...
I think you have multiple areas that you can send people, like,
yeah.
Maybe 2 different mines, 2 different other villages to pick up some cloth material, whatever, or whatever the crafting materials I need. But you can only send 5 out at one time.
I like that.
And depending on the difficulties, depending how long that quest takes.
I actually like that idea, because the 5 is the max you can send on there, and you can send those 5. If you're focused on getting that one ore that's being a pain in the ass, you can send all 5 to the mine. If your focus is on getting that one cloth or craft like you were talking about, you could send all 5 that direction. So you could actually focus the people you're sending on those quests to be able to get that. And they'll come back not just with the minerals, but they could also come back with, some of those tokens for being able to run an auto runner. Or they may, I don't know. Well, just ideas, I guess. I don't know. But I like the 5. But you can choose what 5. Maybe you have 3 different areas, right?
Yeah, depending on what kind of items we have or need for crafting. Once we, dabble into that,
yeah.
An area that each picks up different crafting items.
Yeah. I like that. You would have to have ores, obviously, for the harder material stuff. You'd have to have cloth for the actual clothing and such. And then maybe I would say item usage. So potions and such, so you can send them to the alchemy guild to be able to craft, learn, and work amongst the mages.
For cloth, you can make it like a hunting expedition for
there you go.
Leathers from animals.
Yep. I would say, hunting expedition. So it could be skins, cloth, leather, whatever it may be. They can get just whatever it is. But remember, whatever they return, if it's something you don't want, you could actually scavenge it to be able to turn it in for tokens to be able to have the auto runner as well.
And the one game I played that had that ability, each character had a different bonus to those things. So like, hey, this character A, could get bring back like 5% more ore if you send them on an ore expedition versus a hunting expedition.
Okay. So that's another way to customize the 10 characters. They'd have their main battle passive. I would say a battle passive and a gathering passive. Yeah. So that would actually throw in a little cog in the wheel, like, this is my best gatherer for what I need, but he's also my main healer. And you know what? I'm going to need to focus on his plus 10 to mining right now, because I need that ore. My tank needs to be able to get I got everything I need except that fucking ore, and he's got a better chance to get it than anybody else. You know what? I'm going to sub in this melee DPS, take him out of the melee DPS rotation, move the gambits over to him. Now I need to change my gambits a little bit, because this guy has a charge ability. So I don't need that as one of my gambits. Let's put that further down the list, and then you can restructure your gambit system while you're hunting for that ore.
Yep.
Cool. Cool. I like that. Ooh. I like to be able to bounce this idea off somebody, so I appreciate you being able to kind of talk with me about it. I think I would love to play this game, because once I kind of got going in it and sending my people and doing all that kind of stuff, I'd want to, knowing that I can lock any character every 5 levels I want. If I want to be able to focus on a healer and be able to change it around, I want to be able to make sure the emphasis is on that gambit, though. The gear is great. The crafting is great. Be able to level up your DPS is great. But it can't auto-run efficiently if I don't have certain gambits to be able to make it even a smoother transition. Like if somebody uses a taunt ability, I have nothing to negate taunt. Or something to use as a curse, I don't have my healer, I don't have the gambit yet that actually allows for Insuna to be used to erase the actual curse ability on my tank. So I can't run this dungeon until I get that gambit. So let me go ahead and farm a little bit to be able to see if I can actually pull that in a different style, or get enough crafting stuff to be able to trade it for that gambit. So you could have a rotating shop as well, almost, for trading in materials to be able to pick up certain ones that can be crucial for your lineup. You could trade in 2 things for a random chance at another. I'm just throwing ideas out. Also, you would need duplicate gambits, not slots, but actual gambits themselves. Because if you run 3 healers and you only have 1 heal at 70% health, that kind of shits on your situation, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah. So you could actually duplicate the actual gambits themselves. I would say if you turn 2 win, you get a random of the same quality. Two of the exact same. So if you have 3 gambits that are the exact same because you've been running the same dungeon over and over, and that's one of the drops, you can turn 2 of those 3 in, still keep 1, but get a random one of that same quality, same level. May not be in that dungeon, but it is the same level. So you can still actually turn things in. If you're running one dungeon because you can't complete another of the same level due to whatever it may be, you could actually still get loot drops from that one by turning in duplicates in the other. So you can still run one and still become proficient. But you wouldn't be able to get one from a dungeon that you can't do ahead of the game. It's got to be same level. So that's why I say same quality, same level. So if it's the same level, turn it in. And then I would also say if you turn 5 into the same, you might get 1 tier better. Something along those lines.
That was the next thing I was going to kind of bring up. Having people run the same dungeons over and over, what are they getting out of them to make them replayable, so to say, or
right?
Rerun them.
Right. And that's why I say if you're running it, you are gathering resources from it. You're also getting items. So you may get a sword that doesn't fucking matter to you because you already have a better one. You could scrap it, use those scrap pieces for, again, later on crafting, or turning it in for coins for it to auto run while you sleep. You could, one of the prizes could be when it completes, you get a gambit, but you already have that gambit. But the cool thing is now you got 2. So if you run 2 tanks, 2 healers, whatever kind of gambit it is, you can actually work that into your equation. If you run the dungeon 15 times and you get 5 of the same gambit, then you can turn those 5 in for 1 tier higher. And that 1 tier higher may be cast Cure 1 at 80% instead of Cure 1 at 70%. And then you put that on and you're able to keep your tank topped off for when that boss does a critical. And you're able to survive that dungeon because you have that 80% auto cast on. Because you got a tier higher than what you previously had. So yes, running the same dungeon over and over will allow you to upgrade. But again, you run it 15 times, 5 are the same gambit that you got. You turn those 5 in, you get 1 that's higher tier. You can run that dungeon as much as you want, but it's going to have diminishing returns when it comes to rewards because you're having a turn 5-to-1 ratio. And you can't pick exactly. That's why I say the same gambit. You turn in the same gambit, 5 of the same one. That's why you're running the same dungeon. 5 of the same one, you get a random of a higher tier. So if I run it, if I get 50 of them and I turn 10 trade-ins, I might get 10 different gambits that are higher tier than what I currently have. I can't turn those in for a higher tier because they're all different. But those 10 would help me actually get the next tier. So again, you can prioritize which dungeon you want to run because you know the types of rewards that'll drop. Or when you look at the reward possibilities, it's got a question mark. And when you get one of those rewards, it fills in that spot. So as you get all 3 rewards, you now know what's in that dungeon. And if you want to repeat it over and over, you can.
Do you have multiple dungeons for the same level? Like, say I'm level 10. Do I have like same one dungeon I can run, or do I have like 3 different, fire palace or ice palace or whatever?
Exactly. Yeah, you would have multiple different ones. Reason being is because remember, if there's, and this is again just throwing fucking stupid ass numbers out there, but if you run one dungeon, it's got 3 type of rewards. You could have a gathering for one of those rewards, straight scrap, or a different type of gathering. So you can have a mineral, a cloth, like if you were hunting, so a hunting one, a mining one, and then a gambit. Now remember, there's hundreds of different gambits, and we can spread those out. So that's one of them, and you can get it, and you don't know what kind of cloth or mineral or gambit you get. You run it once, you get an iron ore or a copper ore. Now it says mystery hunter, copper ore, mystery gambit. You run it again, you get a gambit. You're like, this is a gambit of healing at 40%. Cure 1 at 40%. Okay, cool. You still don't know what that hunting one is. So you run it 2 or 3 more times, you finally get the hunting one, and it's like sheep cloth, some bullshit one, because it's a level 5 dungeon. So now you know this dungeon, if you needed sheep cloth, copper ore, or that gambit, that 40% cure 1, you can run that dungeon as much as you want to stockpile those 3. So now that you know those 3 rewards, you're like, nah, I don't need any of those 3. You could run a different dungeon. This one's got 3 different question marks. Again, mineral, gather, and a gambit. And you don't know what they are. When you unlock it, you're like, that's a tank one. Okay, I need that tank one. Because if I get 5 of those tank gambits, I can turn it in for a tier higher than what the dungeon I'm currently running. And be able to deck out your tank a little bit. And then it's or instead of it being copper, it's iron. And you're like, that's something I need. So you can run that one more often. Yes, you may be getting the iron ores or focus on the iron ores with the gambits and the wolf pelts you're getting. You can turn the wolf pelts in to be able to get, some tokens to auto run. But then the gambit, you can turn 5 of those in to be able to get a higher tier gambit for the next tier up and be able to kind of build your character by running the same dungeon. So even though you don't know what the rewards are, as you continue to run it, you find out what the rewards are and you see if that's what you want to be able to focus on. Because if I get 5 tank ones and I turn yes, I use that tank one, but if I turn those 5 in and I get a higher tier tank one, now I got one for a dungeon I can't even run yet. And I can put that one on my tank, which makes it more efficient, which makes this dungeon easier. And now I can start transitioning into the next set of dungeons. So I can run, I would say, I'd say about 5 dungeons per level. You can have a dungeon per level. Level 5, 6, 7. And as you actually run those dungeons, the rewards keep getting better. So you need, obviously, and I was just throwing out the hunter, the mineral, and the gambit one. But that covers your gambits. Because remember, you can have 100 different gambits in this bad boy. That's 100 levels. You can probably find 100 different ores, as much ore as we know from Final Fantasy. And then in Minecraft as well, you can throw all that shit in there. And then you can actually run 100 different pelts, cloths, fabrics, whatever it may be. So each dungeon that you run, each tier that you run, gives you a higher tier. Now, I would say if you turn in 5 level 5s, you don't get a level 6. I would say if you turn in 5 level 5s, it gives you a level 10 gambit. Or something along those lines, where it's a substantial boost to be able to encourage the repetition of a specific dungeon that you're efficient at.
Well, you turn in a certain amount, like you said, 5, instead of it becoming a level 6, it becomes like from a common to a rare or something like that. It ups the quality.
Yeah, you could also do it where say you're running a level 15 dungeon. There's common, rare, epic. The common, is a level 15 Gambit, or level 15 or level 15 Gather. I don't give a shit. That's the common one. The rare one is the level 16. The epic is the level 17. So if you get the epic drop, you got it 2 levels before you should have gotten it. Or you can do even intervals of 2. So level 15, you have level 15. The common drop is the level 15 Gambit. You get the rare lot, which is what you could say like 15 or 20%. 20% of the time you get the rare one, but the rare one, instead of it being level 15, you get the reward from the common drop at level 17. And then if you get the epic, which is like 5%, yeah, you got it at level 15, but you get level 19. So you get the common drop from level 19. It's counted as epic for you because you got it at 15. But you got a level 19 drop at level 15. That's what makes it special, because you're technically clearing future dungeons without having to run those future dungeons. So you could actually easily do that, because then, yes, I may run 15 over and 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 over. But when I get that 19, perfect. I already know the reward for the 19. I've already gotten it. I could be able to actually, yeah, I got 15 of these common ones. Let me turn these three sets of 5 in real quick. Bam. Now I got 3 level 17 ones, because it's the rare drop, and 1 level 19. I'm going to use these 17s, or be able to save these, maybe turn them in as I get more rewards that in the future, but I'm rocking this level 19. And that's, again, Gambit, Mineral, and Cloth. I would like to be able to have that low percent chance to be able to get something from a higher tier dungeon, and that's what makes it epic. Not because it's a rare drop for that, but you're getting it ahead of when you should get it, which will help you progress without having to do the crafting. You could progress through the game without having to do the crafting. You continue to run a dungeon you're efficient at, you're eventually going to get that dungeon drop from 4 levels higher than what you are, and that'll help you clear that dungeon more efficiently and even get better dungeons, because you have better gambits, minerals, ores, whatever they may be. And you could even do it where there's a legendary, where it's, you know, a full 10 levels or something like that. But all up in the air. I want variety. Variety and customization is what brings people. They want to be the best, they want to be numero uno, and they want to run the meta and be number 1. Number 1, tournaments, rare drops, epic characters, gambits, unlocking slots, unlocking gambits, getting them as rewards. The customization makes sure that nobody can be, there's not going to be an elite setup, because it's just like paper, rock, scissors. I like that, though. Good call out about the multiple dungeons, because multiple dungeons, I would say you'd have it unlock a new dungeon every level. You could run past dungeons, no problem with that. You wanted to stockpile, that's cool. You can manually run it. You could run a level 5 dungeon as a level 20 if you wanted to. You can manually run it. You need a basic gambit system. Your level 20 gambit would power through a level 5 dungeon. It's level 5 rewards, but it would power through that dungeon. And you could stockpile that way too. You'd have to manually do it. I wouldn't waste my level 20 to auto run a level 5 dungeon. If I have a certain amount of tokens that I can run for auto running, I'm going to run my 20s on 20s while I slept. I want to get the best reward possible without me having to actually physically do everything from all 4 characters. And we're going to have to come up with another name besides Gambit. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, we'll kind of create our own little system name for it.
Priority queue. We could probably call it PQ. The PQ system.
What does PQ stand for?
Priority queue. So the priority list of your abilities.
We can start there while we're brainstorming.
Agreed. That was a nice way of saying that sounds shitty. And that, yeah, that's why I was just, I don't want to call it Gambit, even though it's basically the same system.
Do you have a name for your game in general?
No, not at all. I'd hate to get stuck on a name now because our development path of talking about it and brainstorming and going through this might change the actual name. For fun though, you want to brainstorm a few?
No.
um,
It's the end of the day for me, and my brain's kind of mush at this point of brainstorming.
it'd have to be something badass. I was gonna say PQ, but that's not really badass. It's more like PU. It'd have to be something. How about Double Darkness?
No.
It was a throwback to Final Fantasy 11. I'd love to have a throwback. Something I'd love to be able to have where people are like, where the fuck did that name come from? And we're like, well, you know. What's something that's happened in stream that we can use in all these years? Damn, I'm trying to think.
Frozen Quest.
Frozen Quest? I
Because you
see where you're going with
Frozen all the time.
I see where you're going with that. But we'd have a fire dungeon as well. They'd be like, what the fuck is this? I see where you're going. I'll have to brainstorm on it. So now that we've kind of discussed and broken these down on here a little bit, I know your brain's mush. Does it seem like a decent idea? Because I know there are a lot of games out there where it's like AFK Arena, and I hate that shit because it's 100% focused on microtransaction and going after the whales. But it's not really AFK Arena either. It just continue. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'd like to be able to have more engagement and control, but at the same time, as you level, you can be more hands off with it. But when it came to PvP and stuff like that, it's your gambit, not based solely across I got better gear than you, but you could have somebody with good gear lose to somebody who has a better gambit.
I mean, it sounds like a solid idea. I don't know what the market, what everything out there on the market is to see, is it a new idea or is it just copying other games or what?
I'd have to poke around and go hunting as well. Download a bunch of these crappy fucking games that have pop-ups left and right on their advertisements, videos constantly. Yeah. It is a ambitious thing, but if we get it all written up and set up and all that kind of stuff, I'm not saying talk about coding, but like written up, story, style, look, get it all kind of ready to go on there. Who knows? I mean, we could fuck around with it and learn how to do it, or we could just present it to Tencent or something like that and have somebody else develop it. Or we could reach out to another game developer and be like, dude, we need a coder. If you code it, we'll do the everything else, kind of deal. So I mean, there's a lot of things we can do on it, but I just wanted to kind of at least get the brainstorming out of the way.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, idea-wise, I think it's solid. You got the right ideas, little tweaking here and there to finesse it, and obviously you got to deep dive into the numbers and actual aspects of the game, but you've got a solid foundation going so far.
Yeah, I think that's where we would pull from games that do have... I mean, every game has a gambit system. The only difference is that this isn't on the back end. When you engage an enemy in a video game, it tells you it uses these abilities at this percentage of health, or uses these abilities when these special occurrences happen. Everything has a gambit system almost in every video game. The only difference is we're having ours be up front. Instead of the engagement of the user, they can predetermine the gambit. So they're basically making an NPC and unlocking and being able to customize and make it even better as they develop. So that's what I want the special draw of our character or our game to actually be. It'd have to be something along NPC customization. But yeah, after looking at how many gambits there, I guess I'm gonna have to play Final Fantasy 12 again. Download it, go into it, see how they unlock the different things, see the different gambits on here, the different spells they actually have, the prioritization of melee and physical and all that jazz.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't remember 12 at all. I'm gonna have to maybe watch some YouTube or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. And I like how you can see how they can turn them on, activate them. Like this one says, let's see, ally status berserk. When they go berserk, he's got dispel mode. He's got it disabled on this character, but you can turn it on. But you can also change the cast that'll happen. So self MP 10%. It's got charge. So maybe there's a different one where when his MP is below 10%, you can change it from charge to item use, and you can choose what item it is. So I'm gonna have to play 12 again just to get the gambits down again. Because it's not only you're unlocking this side, the gambit side, of what action occurs when, but the right hand side is what ability you use when that action occurs. So 70%, you could have ally HP below 70%, Cura. If you haven't unlocked Cura on your character, you may only have, Cure 2, for instance. But when you hit level, 30 or whatever you determine when the Cura gets unlocked, then you would be able to change out, keep the same gambit, but change the spell that happens at that point in time. So these are the ones you're unlocking, but then your spells and abilities that you're actually saying, like float, bubble, haste, decoy, charge, cure, raise, these are unlocked as you level your character. It'd have to be character levels as well. And the character levels wouldn't do anything except unlocking abilities. So you'd have to play low-level characters to be able to unlock the XP to get them to higher level to unlock their new abilities. So if you get a new character, yes, it would be level 1. Yes, you're rocking level 40, for instance. Run that guy as a leeching XP. Get him caught back up, because right now all he's got is Cure 1. Cure 1 at, level 5, for instance. So at level 5, he gets Cure 1. You can put that MP or HP 70% as Cure 1, but your main healer's rocking Cure 3 because it's level 40. So you need to level up that extra character to be able to use that extra ability. These are the gambits you unlock on the left-hand side, but the level determines what abilities you can use.
That's when you were talking about how a level 20 could run a level 5 dungeon. That was my thought. Like, hey, you just got a new character. They're level 1. You got to get some base gear on them. So run a level 5 dungeon, blah, blah, blah.
Pokemon style for XP, too. I'm calling it right now. If he's dead at the end, he only gets XP while he's alive. So that's why you won't bring a level 1 until level 50 dungeon. He'll get fucking clapped. When he gets clapped, he ain't getting XP. You got to run those lower tiers. You got to run those lower tiers to level him up.
I'm down with that.
Okay, cool. But I forgot all about, it's not just the full gambit across the board. It's the left-hand side is the gambit that you unlock. And the right-hand side is the level of the ability you can use. So I know in Final Fantasy 12, you get things to unlock different gambits as you're playing the game and progressing. And then when you get specific ones, you can use those multiple times. Remember, you might unlock ally, but if you only got 2 slots, are you going to have your healer just not do cures of when somebody's HP is below? That's why the slots are a big thing. It's both slots and gambits. You got to unlock slots, and then you can move the slots in between characters, and the gambits are what you interchange, and you unlock those as you run dungeons and play the game. Yeah, I'm going to have to play 12.
I don't remember what game it was either, but I know, like, you could have one character use a potion on another character if they needed a heal.
Right here. I just pulled it up. Good call out. Right as I did it. It says the last one of the list. It says on self, if below on MP of 10%, use a high ether. Yep. So again, you'd probably have potion ability at a lower level, but you're not going to have, max HP potion used at level 1. That's something you probably have to unlock later on as you level that character. So it might be like level 20 tier 1 potions, level 40 tier 2 potions, level 60 tier 3 potions. So it allows you more customization there. But yeah, it says this one's the MP 10%, use a high ether. When back here, it was MP 10%, use charge. And charge is a caster ability, but my tank may not have any MP. So he'd have to use ethers if he got below an MP. Or he doesn't have a cast of charge. He doesn't have the charge ability. So my tank, yeah, he has MP, but every time he uses shield bash, it uses a little bit of MP. When he runs low, he doesn't have an MP gain. He doesn't have an ability to gain MP. He'd have to use high ethers. Good call out. I wonder if you would actually have a 5th class in there, a buffer. I think we would just give that to the healer. Kind of like Lucio. Lucio's a buffer and a healer. Mercy is a buffer and a healer. Moira is a healer and damage dealer. So you'd be able to actually, again, out of the 10 different healers, and you'd be able to separate those. So yeah, we're gonna steal the shit out of things from other people.
Well, that's why I say you have multiple different classes. Like you said, you have 2 ranged, 1 physical damage, 1 magic damage ranged. Your healers can be healer damage, healer buffer, just straight up healer. We can play around with a different mix of it.
Yeah.
And that's what gives people why they want to try to get different characters for different party makeups.
Yeah, you could sit there and, like you said, you could actually have archer. No, you could have ranged DPS, but the ranged DPS, obviously, remember you said we talked about staves. A healer, all healers can use staves, but if it's a ranged DPS, would an archer give his bow to a black mage?
Yes.
So he's casting firebolt.
Fire arrows.
There you go. But yeah, you could do range DPS, caster DPS, healer. We could make more, and every time you make one, it brings a whole new slew of it, because the 4 slots that you have, you don't have to use the 4 at different classes you have. So yeah, we'd be able to kind of brainstorm more. I like the 4 idea. I think 5 is too many people. I think 3 is too few. I think 4 is about right for the customization. But then I kind of like being able, as long as we have enough people of a good rotation in there, especially if they're sharing gear. I think healers would be able to share gear, staves, clubs, whatever. But I think you could also do a close range healer, kind of like a dancer. But you'd have to make at least 10 like that if we're going for every class has 10 different ones. So maybe you could do like a dancer on the front line, where the dancer... See, that's difficult, because if you do melee DPS, a melee DPS might be a sword, might be a dagger. We'd have to figure it out. That's more diving into the characters and all that shit.
I think as far as if you want, once we get into the character design, maybe start with 5 of each type of character.
Yeah, 5 with each type of character for the 4 different classes that we actually have, and see if we can expand upon those. Because honestly, if you're running 4, we could have 10 different classes, each one with 5 different ones, because you could rotate whatever classes you want in there. We would definitely steal from other games on there. For ideas, concept, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we'll steal the ideas, but naming what? We'll have to come up with naming different abilities and classes and all that. We'll come up with our own shit.
Oh, yeah. We'll have a giant tank that's just an asshole to everybody. We're gonna name it Drix.
I'll let you break that to him.
Yeah, we'll be able to actually give them names from people of our community as a kind of tribute to the community itself.
No, let's see. That's the character you make that sucks really bad, but he's really good at mining. You know.
So a
and
fucking
you're dripping
troll?
that-
We can make Drix a troll? Because it's mining? What up, friend? You missed
He
the...
really likes. He really
Yeah.
likes mining.
Yeah, we could have his be one of the best miners in the game. We can name it Drix. We can have him be a miner and just a troll where he's melee combat and he uses a giant hammer. And he just shouts obscurities all the time. His passive is he has an auto regen every time he falls asleep. He'll fall asleep mid-battle. When he falls asleep, until he is woken, he regens HP.
I'm really sad he's not in chat right now.
So he's a narcoleptic troll. That's perfect. That's his passive ability. He's a melee fighter, but his big attribute is a miner. So he gets the best stat in the game for mining. He's physical melee, and he can you can put him to sleep on the front line. And when you put him to sleep, until he is damaged, he regens HP. So if there's no AoE or anything on the front line, he continues to regen HP. So it's his passive or his ability that we have to make his character unique. And you can name the ability Triggered Narcolepsy. So you can flip the switch and kick on his narcolepsy. This is fucking hilarious, man. That's the first character we made, Drix. We can make characters for everybody in our chat.
It's our game. We can do whatever we want with it, right?
Yes. Yes, so we would definitely just pull people out of the wood shops and like Kusa. We'd have to have Kusa as just like a sexy angel because of the Kusa smut dungeon. So Kusa would have to be ranged DPS, but like a demon. But like a seductive demon.
Succubus?
A succubus. Kusa the succubus. And we'll name it Kusa. It'll just be named straight up Kusa. Yep. Yeah. We're going to have to brainstorm ideas. We're going to have to get everybody a character that is frequent in chat. You, me, Freant, Echo, Blondie. Who else? Let me scroll down this list. Anime, Ryo, Val. Who else we got in here?
See, PC.
PC would need one. Yep.
Nemesis.
Yep. Nemesis. What else? I'm scrolling through all the names here. Mike would have to get one. Lord would have to have one. I am Lord. Lord. Tuk Tuk would need one. Tuk Tuk would definitely need one. Ryo, yep.
Banana.
Banana hadn't been here in a hot minute.
Shit. Who's the one with the name that begins with E?
Eco?
Yeah, Eco.
You got Discount Killer as well? What up, Friet? We've been, for the past 2 hours, talking about developing a game and brainstorming the concept and ideas. Discount Killer would need one. Funk would need one, as it contributes for Final Fantasy. Kusa, obviously. Little Bubba. Ninja Jesus.
I think we have all our characters already.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make characters based upon our chat. Yalicia would need one. Hers would be a bird character. Has to be.
I would say some sort of a summoner or pet using class.
A pet using class. Range DPS. You could have, she summons, she would be a range DPS. She summons a pet to be able to fight in battle.
She summons a horde of chocobo. things. What is she? What is that?
Don't
little bird?
copyright us. Don't copyright us. But no, she would summon. We would have her first summon because she would level up summons and get higher ones. Her first summon would be a quail.
Quail. That's I was trying to think of the little bird that she's always
Yep.
taking pictures of. She summons a horde of quails to attack you.
Exactly, a horde of quails. No, this is great. We will, for the characters, we have to use people from our channel. And okay, you're free. You missed the whole conversation. Hodo, are you done? You said your brain's mush. I don't want to hold you up.
I mean, yeah, I think we've kind of hit goofy ideas at this point.
Agreed,
and,
agreed. But do you mind? We can give a quick rundown to Friant because I know Friant would be down for this.
Yeah, go for it.
Friant, it is a dungeon crawler with 4 characters on the screen. The 4 characters would actually be, you can have any classes you want, but there's 4 classes right now. Tank, melee DPS, range DPS, and healer. With those actual 4 classes, we would have where you run dungeons. Now, when I say run dungeons, the cool thing about it is when you're playing the game, you can actually select one of the characters and play their abilities. So if you're like playing tank, you can play tank, but your healer does its own thing. Your range DPS does its own thing. Your melee DPS does its own thing. Now, the cool thing about it is as you level up, if you haven't played Final Fantasy 12 Gambit system, we're implementing where you could actually unlock gambits for your characters. So if you like playing a healer, you could customize a gambit system based around your tank, your melee, and your range DPS, and you could play the healer class while the gambits play the other classes. As you level up, you unlock more gambit slots, new gambits. We also worked in where crafting was involved on here. You can run any lineup you want. You want 3 healers, 1 tank, so you can't get out, die? Fine, run it. Multiple with each class, each job, like if you have 5 characters that are healers that you could actually run from, each one would have a different passive ability. With the passive ability, it does allow you customization on unlocking those. We also when you actually get enough gambits for it to be able to self-reliance and self-run itself, you could actually set it to run dungeons that you've previously cleared or want to clear. You could run them while you sleep. But the thing is, while it's running, it's not going to auto run. It runs based upon your gambits. So if your gambits are shit, you might be able to run shit dungeons. But if you have a good selection, like what you see on screen, 12 different gambits, you might be able to customize your party to auto function without you being involved. So as you level up your character, the gambits become more direct, and you can actually customize your character based upon each character's passives, based upon your layout to auto run dungeons. Now, yes, harder dungeons would require more hands-on or better layout of your gambit system or a different layout in total for your actual 4 people that you're running with. But we want to base basically a dungeon crawler gambit system, customization of your party, auto running if possible. Sounds like fun. I love that kind of shit. Me too. But the only thing is that it would be you'd have to unlock slots. Now, if you unlock, say you're level 10, you have 10 slots. 10 slots. Wow, that sounds awesome. I'm looking at the screen right now. That has 12 and they're level 99 in Final Fantasy 12. That's cool. If you have 10 slots and you have 4 characters, you're not going to be able to customize them too much. You might be able to put, 2 on each, and then 2 others would have an extra 1. So 2 gambits, 2 gambits, 3 gambits, 3 gambits. That's not very customization on there to be able to make sure it's self-reliant. As you would level up, you unlock more slots. As you get rewards, you unlock new gambits to be able to fine-tune your layout. Get a new character, you might have to redo your gambit system because that character's passive has 25% of its cast, not counting mana. So you don't need mana regen anymore as a gambit. You can move the mana regen to your black mage as your range DPS instead, which then frees up a different slot that you didn't have available. So the gambit system basically is a way to encourage progression, to auto run dungeons. And when we actually talking about dungeons, each level would have different dungeons. There'd be PvP. You don't control PvP. It's based upon your gambit versus somebody else's gambit with a static level. We talked about sending characters that you have that you're not running in your main dungeon of 4 to be able to go off and mine or gather resources such as sheepskin, wool, etc. As you get those resources, you can either A, use those to craft for better gear for your main character to improve their output or defense. Doesn't change their gambit, doesn't change their functionality. It just makes them more efficient at it as you level them up. The characters unlock, and as they unlock these new abilities on the right hand side so you can link them to the actual gambit system. What up, Jenna? First time chatter. But Friant, that's kind of where we stand. We've been brainstorming for the past 2.5 hours and just bantering back and forth. It is not pay to win, but we did have it for cosmetics. So we would have microtransactions like thanks for the follow. We would have microtransactions, thank you, Jenna, for being able to customize your characters. PvP battles, again, they are not manually controlled, so we don't want somebody with quick fingers to be able to beat somebody with a better gambit system. They go up against each other with their gambits. Whoever turns out on top, turns out on top. Rewards for those would be customizable looks, layouts, skins that when you see that skin, you're like, this motherfucker has already won a tournament. That kind of deal. So all microtransactions are pure cosmetic, not pay to win game. Who's going to develop this? That's why Hodo and I are talking. Hodo said he's touched a little bit in coding, but I just started last night. I didn't stream last night because I started touching coding as well. Right now, it's just kind of brainstorming, bantering, getting ideas. You came in, we were talking about Drixel, his character being a melee DPS. With his melee DPS, when he's on the front line fighting, one of his abilities can be auto regen when he falls asleep. So you can trigger narcolepsy. He falls asleep. If he does not take damage, he will continue to regen health. And I would honestly put that ability when he gets it at, say, level 5, I would put that ability with 25% HP remaining. So if he hits 24% HP because he got hit, he would automatically fall asleep. And when he falls asleep on there, he continues to regain HP until he's woken. And when he gets woken, he continues back to his actual melee. So do you see where I was talking about when you came in? Thank you, Jenna. I do appreciate it. We're sitting here just brainstorming. Did I cover most of the bases, Hodo?
Yeah, I think you covered most of it.
Gotcha. So we're talking a gambit system on the left-hand side here. And as you unlock these, your character levels, and you unlock these on the right to be able to customize your character. All characters are the exact same for everything, except they have different passives. Drixel's would obviously be triggered narcolepsy for auto regen, And we were thinking about naming the characters based upon people from chat and giving them abilities based upon their character. We talked about Kusa being a succubus because of the smut dungeon we have in Discord, of the dirty stuff he posts in there. So making Kusa a succubus and like a seduction artist, range DPS, taunting the enemy so they actually don't attack, or stuns the enemy in a daze because of the beauty of Kusa. Yalicia having range DPS again, where she summons a quail to be able to fight for her on the front line. Limited DPS, but she can keep summoning them, those sons of bitches, So she's a range DPS. So we were just brainstorming on character ideas after we came through the basics of the crafting. If you unlock characters, we went into everything about how to unlock characters. Would you get duplicate characters, the rarity of the characters, what you can do with characters you're not running in your main line. We talked about being able to have them as gatherers and miners to be able to get ores and fabrics for crafting to upgrade your actual main characters that you run with. The auto running, being able to turn in scraps for currency and using the currency to trade in for a 4-hour auto run. So you can pick a dungeon, hit 4 hours, and go to bed, wake up in the morning, see what your rewards were for the 4 hours of dungeon running. Your group of 4 actually continue to run. Let me know if you need a playtester. Dude, this is brainstorming. That's going to be like a year out unless we find like an actual developer. Using people from chat as the characters makes choosing their abilities much easier. It does. Jenna, a tier 1 sub. What? Gifted a tier 1 sub to Hodo. Jenna, who are you? Where have you come from? Thank you. Hodo, you're one of us now. Jenna's just in here and happy she stole this idea and now is going to be a millionaire. But yeah, Hodo and I were just kind of bantering back and forth. We were going to play games tonight, but when I brought this up and he said he mentioned coding on there, I wanted to touch base with him on that. And when I say touch base, hold up. I made a paint of the angle of the camera coming down to the fighting, the tank up front, the DPS on the side. The scrolling would actually be kind of top and behind. That's how your phone would actually look, because this is a mobile game. You would have your HP of the character you currently have selected that you're controlling, and MP in the top left, the enemy that you're currently targeting in the top right. You'd have your abilities with the sticks on the right hand side and left hand side. You can see where the positioning would be for the characters. And as you defeat somebody and continue through the dungeon, the scroll would actually go vertically on there. So, I mean, we got into this shit. We've been doing it for a few hours. Look at that precise camera work, though. Those wonderful squares. You're deep in. Exactly. Yeah, 2.5 hours. But I love the Gambit idea, because let me be honest with you. What frustrates me about gaming nowadays is that, number one, I have to dedicate time to it. This rules this out, because I can get a Gambit system that is efficient at its level and being able to efficiently run dungeons just by setting up a Gambit system to be able to self-sustain. That allows me, if I want to be a passive player, to let it be passive. Yes, you see AFK boss arena. It's not letting you customize. You just send somebody in there and they win, they don't, and they don't. This gives you hands-on creativity with it. Also, number two that I don't like about games nowadays is the rotations, where I don't play MMOs anymore because you have to have a perfect rotation to be able to be self-sufficient on here, and you're hitting all these buttons, etc. Why have a rotation that I have to do when I can set my system to do it for me? I can create an NPC to self-sustain. I love your lights. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate that. Voice activated. You should see everything else that I got going on here too. Number 3 on here. I don't like microtransactions in a game. I love Path of Exile, Overwatch. Both of their microtransactions do not give you a winning edge. So spending money doesn't let you win the game. It lets you express yourself. And I love both of those actually being incorporated. So those are 3 big things I like. And if I want to be able to spend time in a game, I want to spend time in a game. I can control the game. I can, if I have my 20 gambits and I like running healer, I can set the gambit of those 20 for my other 3 characters, which means one of them can have, you know, my tank. I don't want to touch my tank. I want my tank to self-pull, self-cast, self-stun. You know what? I'm putting 10 gambits on that thing. Hopefully I've unlocked enough to make it self-sufficient. But the other 5 and 5 that I have, I'll put 1 on my melee DPS, or 5 on my melee DPS, and the other 5 on my range DPS, because I'm playing healer manually. Now, if I want to not play the game for a while, I could sit there and be like, all right, 5 on healer, 5 on ranged, 5 on melee, 5 on tank. So the gambits that you unlock, the slots that you unlock, you can move them between the characters that you're actually playing. And once you unlock a stat, that one thing here on the left hand side, you can move that one in between characters as well. If you have 3 of them that are ally HP 70%, when it's below 70%, you can put 3 on. 1 the healer, 1 of the tank. So when the tank goes below 70%, he goes into a defensive stance to be able to get receive that heal. You could have the other one at HP 70% for an ally on here. You could have that from the healer when he notices somebody else getting 70%, automatically casts Cure 1. At 20, you'll get Cure 2, but at 10, you only have Cure 1. So at 70%, he'll cast Cure 1. You can have the range DPS. When he sees an ally go 70%, he shoots a stun. The stun is to be able to actually prevent somebody from actually hitting the healer, to prevent them from stunning the cast that is coming to your tank. So at 70%, you have 3 70% allies that are going off at the same time when that tank gets 70% HP, and all of them hit because it triggers that effect. So yes, you'd have to have 3 gambit slots, and you gotta have 3 gambits to be able to put it on 3 characters. But it allows you that kind of customization. And I love that example I just created at the top of my head. At that 70%, you could have the tank when he hits 70%, the melee DPS recognize that 70% for an ally, shield bash, or not a shield bash, a stun. When that stun hits, the actual range DPS also casts a charm or a stun at that point to prevent them from interrupting the healer, who then casts a Cure 1 to be able to bring it above 70%. Cure 1 pushes them to 85%, everyone goes back to their normal routine. Gets back to 70, bam, that trigger happens again. Now, it may not trigger because, say, the healer's Cure 1 is on cooldown. So you may want a second slot for 65% or 60%. Another one you got to unlock. You know what I'm saying? The customization there is what makes it enjoyable. I have literally no idea what we're talking about. You're explaining it like you're a professional. I am bullshitting. But Hodo, what do you think about, does that make a kind of a clear example of why you would want the same one multiple times? Hodo muted himself. Enthusiasm is top tier. I'm passionate about it. He's a good talker. I appreciate that. But let me ask, does that make sense of why, even right here, you see it, ally HP below 70%, why you would want 3 slots and 3 of the same one for that kind of instance? You see the customization I'm talking about? You could have also a self HP 70%. So when the tank sees himself go below 70%, he goes into a defensive stance. The range DPS hits a stun, and the healer starts casting Cure. Sends it off. So at 70%, all 3 of those trigger because all 3 of them have an HP 70%. And again, it can bump them to 85%, and then it hits 70% again. And then when it hits 70%, the tank goes into defensive stance. The range DPS stuns the target. Cure 1 is on cooldown still. The Cure never goes off. The Cure goes off at 60%. This time it bumps him only to 75. Because instead of 75, when it hits 70% again, it's still on cooldown. 70% hits, tank goes defensive stance. Range DPS stuns. Healer, cooldown. 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 Now it's at 50%. Cast that Cure 1. Now you're moving up another 15%, 65. It should trigger another one, but the cooldown is there. That's what I'm saying, why you would need a longer actual list, more gambits to be involved with. Because, yes, that one's great, but it won't self-sustain. So maybe you put another one for the healer at 50% to cast full Cure. So when Cure 1 are going out, to be able to try to keep them above 70. Cooldown hits, tank's going down in health, 60, or 65, 60, 55, 50. When that 50 hits, the second trigger hits. And the second trigger is a ally at 50% health, cast full Cure. When you cast full Cure, though, your mana pool's gone. Yes, it cures the tank up full, but it buys you time to continue that fight. That's why I love this gambit system. Because if you build it right, with the gambits and the unlocks that you have and the passive that you have for each individual character, you can actually self-sustain. Very, very. Does that make sense? Please tell me I'm not crazy. Because I'm mentally picturing this and I feel crazy. I feel crazy. We need another drink. In my T-Mobile mini fridge. Oh. You're always crazy, but this seems normal. That's scary. It all makes sense. Okay, good. Hold on. I know you're still in chat. I'm glad it makes sense. But do you see what I'm talking about when it comes to the gambit system? And I'll give you an Jenna and Freehan, I'll give you an idea. Drix and I, when we found out about the gambit, when we were playing Final Fantasy 12 back on the PS2. I was a young buck at the time. He came over to my house and we decided to play Final Fantasy 12 together when it released. We found that if you set up the gambit system correctly, you can get 3 party members to self-sustain each other. Basically, they never die. But the thing is, in Final Fantasy 12, enemies don't automatically continue to spawn. Once you clear a zone, you clear a zone. So we're like, we can't sustain this for the PQ system. I got you. So what we ended up doing, we were in a not a dungeon, but it was like a ship or something, and we found a spot where enemies continuously respawn. And because they continuously respawn, Drix and I were like, hey, let's try to set up a gambit system to auto run, auto sustain. because then if we set it up, we're golden. It took us about an hour and a half of trial and error, being able to watch it when we set it and being able to kind of tweak and change little things. But eventually, after an hour and a half, we got it set up where we went to bed and woke up the next morning. It was still fighting, still killing, and we gained 45 levels. Let me throw this drink down. So that's what I really love, waking up to progress. So that's when I talk about you have to tweak it, because all those little bits, you may not be able to sustain that 70% heal I was talking about because of the cooldown or your mana pool. Maybe one character runs out of mana too quickly because it costs a little extra, but the heals hit harder. Maybe another character where 25% or every cast you have has a 25% to be free mana cost. So that one never runs out of MP. So like I said, all of them have different passive abilities. So you can customize Gambit systems based upon them. But yeah, PQ. Priority queue. We need to stop calling it Gambit or they're going to sue me. My headset died because I wasn't hearing anything. Talk to me, Hodo. Say something. If you're muted. Oh, go ahead.
You're doing a great job.
I'm passionate about it, man. I think it's a great idea. But yeah, we're towards the tail end, Freya, when you came in, and we're starting to talk about character ideas. And I think the narcoleptic dwarf would be perfect for Drix and his mining obsession that he has.
If we use characters from your Discord, do we have to like sign waivers or get any kind of rights from people?
Probably. I would do it as a precaution. More than likely not. We gotta make Eco. I don't know. Eco's a Giants fan that loves customization of his character. He calls, glamoring in Final Fantasy 14 endgame. So we'd figure out something. Maybe we'd make Eco's original colors, like the New York Giants. No logo, but like their color scheme or something like that. And he's from New Jersey, so we can make him really like a dirty thief or something like that. We can make him a rogue. He's a dirty thief. He's got Giants colors and he's just a dirty thief because he's from Jersey. See, we could easily come up with things for everybody.
That's why I said using these people, it makes the character design easy.
Hell yeah. All right, now I know I talked a lot for the people that are in chat on here. Jenna, Freya, what questions do you have? Because I know Hodo and we'd love to be able to have holes poked in it, but we've actually dove into this pretty detailed. The Gambit is what I want it to be based upon, or the PQ system, priority queue system. I want this to be based upon this part right here. The right-hand side, these abilities you unlock as you level that character up. So yes, I was talking about Cure 1, but at level 20, you may get Cure 2. Yes, it costs more mana, but it heals harder. And level 30, you may get Cure 3. So basically, as your character gets XP and levels up, the gambits don't change. Yes, you may get more slots. Yes, you may get specific ones to customize, but the abilities that you attach to them give you that customization progress. Who's going to do the art? Anybody that wants to? I don't know. It all depends. We'd have to get the coding right first, because it's not going to be a 2D platform, I don't think. 2D, I'd like it to be 3D. Like I said, a top-down. The example I gave, I'll show you. And I'm not saying these quality, or this quality here. Let me get my camera out of the way. Come on, game, kick it in. You gonna be like that? There, no. You're just not gonna sync? You gonna be like that? Okay, there it goes. So I would like it at like this height, but as the game plays, it scrolls upward because you're going through the dungeon. I want the customization so you can see it like this, but then you have your tank in the front line. Front center, tank's there. You have your not off tank, but your melee DPS, to the left or right, and you can be able to place them where you want, and half of the screen, because the other half is the enemy screen as you progress to them. Where these health pool and mana pools are, those would be your kind of thumbsticks, and then you would have the abilities kind of around the side. So you can reach up with your thumb and be able to press the abilities. Health pool and mana pool, top left, top right. Top left would be you of whatever your character you're controlling. Top right would be the enemy if you're currently targeting. But I like this kind of customization because you could sit there and these were the microtransactions come through. Wait, what wings are those? Incinerator. Give me those boots. Give me them gloves. How about that helm? Incinerator head? There it is. So that's where the microtransactions have come from. Your character is the exact same, but you would be able to customize it to your liking. So yes, you have the one screen. You just go vertically up it as you go down the hallway or the dungeon itself. As the enemy approaches, the main tank will be here. You may see the healer off to the top right, top left, whatever it may be. If they have a melee DPS right there hitting on your tank as well. Your tank would have abilities such as taunt and AoE taunt and stun and that kind of jazz. But I like this kind of top-down view that you have. You wouldn't go side to side. It wouldn't be controllable like this. Once it runs up, it engages the enemy, and then your fighting starts. And because the fighting starts, they're engaged with one another. They're locked. And then you can go through your abilities on the left and the right-hand side. Once the fighting is done, your whole team moves up as a unit to the next section. I spent way too much money on these microtransactions. Don't judge me. But that is that's the idea. What do you think, Freya, Jenna? From kind of a rough draft, we talked about crafting, we talked about dungeons, we talked about unlocking characters. We said that say you start with a brother sister combo. One's a tank, one's a healer. You start the game like that, and then you do your first kind of automatically tutorial fight, and then you get to choose a ranged DPS or melee DPS. And now you have 3 of your characters. At level 5, you get the other one that you didn't choose. So now you have a party of 4. Now that you have a party of 4, every time you hit level 5, from here on, you get to choose one of the classes to roll on. So if there's a tank you really want to play with, or you want to run 2 tanks, at level 10, you can select tank roll. It'll randomly roll one of the tanks that are available, and now you have 2 tanks. You can run 1 tank, 1 range, 1 melee, 1 healer, or you can run 2 tanks in the front line, a ranged DPS and a healer. Remember, the customization is up to you. So you can run whatever layout and setting you want on there across the board. But then you'd have to set gambits for each one of them as well. Sounds like something I would definitely play. I'm just trying to put we're putting thought into it. So this is literally what the conversation was. Hodo and I, just for the past 2.5 hours, talked about it. From the dungeons, to the classing, to the questing, to the unlocks, to the transactions, microtransactions that would be involved, to the auto running, to the desynthesizing, the crafting of new gear, to the blacksmith. I mean, we talked about basically everything across the board. It would be a dungeon crawler, but the dungeons, you would lock a new dungeon every level. So every time you hit a new level, you have a new dungeon with new loot that can actually be obtained. We even talked about the 3 different types of loot: gatherer, mineral, or gambit. And as you beat that dungeon, if you beat the dungeon and get the mineral, now it's not question mark, question mark, question mark. It's question mark, iron ore, question mark. And as you continue to beat that dungeon, once you unlock the gambit, now it's question mark for the gatherer, iron ore, ally 70%. And and then you beat the dungeon again, or say 3 more times, finally you get to gather, and it's a sheep pelt. Now you know all 3 rewards. Now, what could also happen is when you actually get that reward, 50% of the time, or I'd say 75% of the time, it's the common reward that you should get for that level. We also talked about getting a rare, where 20% of the time, it'll actually give you the reward for the next dungeon, the common for that next dungeon. So you actually get a reward 1 step higher than the one you were running. And then 5% of the time, you may get a reward for 2 or 3 dungeons further along the line. So the common for level 12, you might get at level 10. So with that rare or that epic that you got the gambit for a level 12 dungeon at level 10, which allows you to then further customize your character. I'm fucking stoked about this. Should we have Monday conversations, or should we just continue on this? I don't want to burn out on it. What do you think, Hodo? Monday
maybe
talks?
like a weekly conversation of some sort.
We can make it Monday talks. I'll forget. Just remind me. And I'd love to be able to dive in more. Maybe we could start putting pen to paper on it. I know you're, like I said, like you said, you're kind of new into the coding side of things. So this is kind of overwhelming for the amount that we want to do. But I think we should get it at least pen to paper, be able to kind of customize and change it up from there. Because again, if we find a coder or you get to coding it, awesome, great. I have no problem with just you and me running this bitch. But if it gets kind of overwhelming on here, or it's taking like years and years or whatever, and we're losing passion on it, whatever it may be, and we bring somebody else in, we at least have pen and paper to use that as a presentation of our ideas to make them, be on our same page. And shit, if we get it written down and graphically set up and all that kind of shit, we can always present it to a mobile game company and use it to sell the idea, and then just you and me split.
I mean, I asked you like an hour and a half ago. You writing this shit down, so.
And I said, what'd I say?
It's all on tape.
It's all on tape. It is documented. I actually have it recorded at 11:14 Central Time, Monday, March 14th. Happy Pi Day, everybody. But we are 3 hours in. Live streamed, exactly. If somebody steals the idea, I mean, I have proof that I did it first and they stole my shit. But I think the first character needs to be Drixel with triggered narcolepsy.
He can be the honorary first character.
Maybe I can get him on the coding as well. I don't know. He's got nothing better to do.
I mean, that thought crossed my mind that I know, like, he sits at home and does nothing a lot. So I didn't know if he was into coding or not.
I think he's touched it. I don't think he's done too much on it, but yeah, man. I'd like to dive more into it. I got, like I said, Unity downloaded on my computer. I need to spend more and more time in it and actually practicing. So I will practice getting some coding down, but I am a complete noob. You're way more advanced than myself, just being able to name the tools. All I know is Unity right now. I don't know shit.
Is Unity a program or what?
Yeah. It's a free downloadable program that most of the actual games that are on mobile devices actually, give me 1 second here, use Unity engine, and they don't take a cut until the game is developed on here.
Because I googled while we were talking what Android games are programmed as, and it said JavaScript. So, and Java is very hard to learn.
Yeah, Unity is... That's really customizable. Where's that unit? Hold on, let me go to their website. There was one that actually looked better. Hold on. Unity, real-time development platform. Where is the gaming service? Getting started. One. Watch trailer. Here it is.
Creating your game is just the beginning. With Unity Gaming Services, you can build a foundation that brings your game to life. Empower online multiplayer gameplay. Create unforgettable social experiences.
This isn't the same video,
And connect
but
gamers across the world through positive communication and play. But games don't just launch, they live. With UGS, you can showcase your game and acquire the right players to experience all your game has to offer. To bring your new online community to life, you need to engage players with the right content at the right time. Then get insights to understand what motivates them to play and deliver new personalized experiences. As a game developer, your journey doesn't stop there. With the right tools, you can drive sustainable revenue.
that's not the video I was thinking of, though. Where's that other fucking video? There was a Unity trailer. That actually showed some of the games that it actually came out with documentation. Contact us. Android development often requires using the Java programming language. I use Python. Hold on, this might be it. Oh, that's straight up just download it. This is it. These are the games made on Unity. Like that. I'll leave the art to me. To me? You leave the art to me? I don't know about that. Where's DK? But this is what I downloaded. This program. And to be honest with you, it's pretty decent so far. If it running all night. It gives you a I downloaded a game that's already in there, an RPG, just to be able to kind of see what it can what are the styles it can turn out to be. This game right here. You can go in and customize, but you can actually hit play as well. Be able to go in and customize everything. Then you gotta find the chickens. But it lets you go in and it gives you a default game so you can go around and start fucking around with some of the stuff. And you can look at all the actual quote unquote coding on the left hand side, positioning, etc. Yeah, it's a cock hunt, yes. Animated tree. But I'm following a guide right now to be able to kind of learn how to build this. Once I can learn how to build this, then I can learn some basics about the actual coding and how Unity works. Background. See, this is a lot of shit I don't know about. Fences, foreground, objects, static objects, decoration. Jesus Christ. Opening doors. The sprite render. I mean, it has a walkthrough on their website of how to be able to build this exact game and the step-by-step process. So that's the reason why I downloaded it, so I can learn how to be able to do it. And then I can literally jump into it and actually play it. So let's see if we can fuck up a background or something. See? Oh, is it which way it rotates? Top right, bottom left. Ah, cool. Add a layer. Ugh. We're just gonna exit. But yeah, I was kind of playing around with that the other night. Oh my god, it's 11:30. Hodo, Mondays. Let's do this. Good talk to you. I think Mondays would be great. All right, Hodo, cool. Hodo's like, I'm fucking done.
I was in the restroom.
Mondays then. Sound good? We can just spitball, talk, shoot the shit.
Does any other day work for you?
It doesn't matter to me. It's whatever you want. I don't care. I got nothing better in my life going on.
Some Mondays I work at the college and I won't get home till 10 o'clock, and I would probably come home and pass out so I could be at work at 3 o'clock. So Wednesdays would be better?
All right. We'll figure it out then. Wednesdays sound like a good plan.
Or Sundays?
Probably not Sunday. Well, yeah, probably not Sundays. I have a huge update. There's a crypto I can't sell in my MetaMask. We're 13 mil total. What? Suit up? Shut up, suit up. 1.3 mil. Okay. Sure. You want to finance our game? I can send you a pic. That sounds dirty. What the hell are you talking about, suit? There's a load more. Let's get ready to kill stream. Why don't you hop in Discord and talk to us while I take a piss? Oh, let's see. Oh, where's the Discord? I'm not your Discord. Exclamation Jordan. Duh, thank you.
He's in the AFK channel.
I'll move, man. What up, suit? It looks like, well, he can't hear us. He's got his mic muted and his headset muted. Sounds like a scam. Let me make my screen big. There we go. We'll wait for him to. Hey, he probably can hear us now at least. Looks like his mic's unmuted or his headset's unmuted.
Here we go.
What's up, man?
What is up, dude? So, yeah.
You trying to scam me out of my crypto?
No. I'll show you like my crypto and it's crazy.
You might have to mute stream, by the way. In fact, I'll tell you
Yeah,
what. I'm gonna go ahead and kill stream. Everyone, take it easy, be good, stay safe, stay healthy.